Hello everyone. That sure is a funky beat. Alright, may drag Nantan in.
Hello.
Hello. Moving
Oh,
over.
hold on. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
There we go. Good. For a minute there, I thought I'd lost all audio. I was like, oh no.
Oh no.
The chat is looking a little funky there on the stream.
It sure is. I think Colin fixed this when we were streaming GoldenEye. I haven't done it.
Good morning, Zonican. Happy Pokemon Day for you.
Oh no. Chat disappeared.
Oh yeah, what time is the Pokemon Day? I think it's late tomorrow. Like for me anyway, I think it's like 10 p.m. Yep, long time no see indeed. Hope you've been doing well.
Chat completely disappeared.
Oh no! Don't worry, I'm keeping him occupied. Well, he gets sorted out. But anyway, hello, welcome, chat, to watching, well, listening to, well, both, because this is footage. This is a video to me and Shadow Link. We're going to be building our own Super Smash Brothers rosters. If you watched our previous stream when we did this, last time we used the results from the Mega Smash Bowl to build some theoretical rosters. One if it was a new game, and one if it was like a port of Ultimate. And people really like that, and we had a lot of fun making that one. So we decided that for this one, we would just build our own Super Smash Brothers rosters. And then we've kept it a secret from each other, so we don't know what's going to be on each other's stuff. I hope Shadowlink has Mario on his. That's really my big prediction for that side. But the I lost my train of thought now. Yeah, so the idea is that we would make our own rosters for what we want to see in the next installment. The only rules we had for this is that the roster size we gave ourselves was going to be the same as Ultimate's base roster. That's and we had to have at minimum the same amount of echoes that Ultimate had. If we wanted to, we could have more, but they would then take up slots from the original roster. Otherwise, anything is fair game. We could have any character we wanted. We could cut to any characters we wanted. We could add any characters we wanted. The usual like adding amount was 18, but I don't even think either me or Shadow Link hit that number. I guess I'll find out. And yeah, that was it really. Those were the main rules. Now I don't know about a Shadow Link side of things. I sort of, as I do, kept my side trying to be some semi-realistic-ish.
Yes,
I
did that as well.
You did that as well, okay.
It was realistic.
Yeah, so I didn't add as much as I wanted to. I unfortunately do not have Gex in mind because I think he needs a new game before I can really start petitioning for him to appear on my roster. But we're just gonna run through them. I'm gonna go first.
Yes.
We're just gonna explain each of our choices, and then I guess share any other details and that we want to, like why we might have cut certain characters or anything about the characters we're adding in. So yes, I guess I'll go first. So Shadowlink, you've got all of the icons.
Yes,
so
I'm just setting up the documents so that they're already pre-saved. Join the stream, Nantan.
Nice. Oh, yep. I've got to join the other stream. Oh boy, there we go. Okay, so are you getting this up on our stream as well? I know
I'm
slightly behind because of latency.
Monitor,
but I assume you're going to show this screen on that screen. There we go. Awesome.
There we go.
There we go. All right. So obviously, we're starting off number one. It's Chris Pratt himself. We got Super Mario, who I wouldn't change massively amount from Ultimate. I'd probably get rid of Flood finally and give him slightly more updated moveset. I've always thought that if you update Mario's moveset, you should replace the cape with like Cappy, and then take Flood out of his moveset and maybe just give him the spin again. Maybe something along those lines. But otherwise, yep, Mario's here. So he's the first one. So number two.
Yeah. Real quick. When you
Yes.
made this, what is your row size? I didn't ask. How many columns are in the row?
Good question. I didn't think about
All
it.
right, then
Must admit, it's
we'll
this.
figure it out as we go.
It's
Number two,
it'll be this. It should
controversial
be
choice.
this. I know, controversial pick. It's Charlie Day up here. Luigi, just like Mario, probably wouldn't change a whole lot. I know people want to see him have the vacuum, but it's not. He only uses it in the Luigi's Mansion games. I think it works fine for a grab. I suppose you could add it to his side beat or down beat or whatever, but yes, Luigi, big controversial pick. I know. All right, number 3.
Oh, I accidentally dragged and selected the entire
Oh boy.
folder.
Oh no. Spoiling them all early. All right, 3, Peach. Again, another obvious pick with this one. I honestly can't think of much you would really change with Peach. So she just sort of play as is. That includes still having her Toad as her neutral special, which probably spoils the fact that he's not in my roster.
Yeah.
There is no Toad here.
Oh yeah. We forgot to mention, but the reason I wanted to do this is because of Masahiro Sakurai announcing that he was semi-retired. So the kind of, oh yes, we're gonna pick, we're gonna try to think like him and pick a new character like he would, even though he's kind of an unpredictable fella. Um, that's kind of not here this time.
Yep, this is true. I've just gone with feelings, but I've tried to hold some things back for myself. You'll see some picks later that might be a bit interesting, but yeah. So anyway, Peach is fine. So the next one we have an Echo Fighter, the first Echo Fighter. I've kept Daisy in the roster. I like to think that she would have some differences, but again, just like with Peach, I'm not entirely sure what you would do to make her massively different while still being able to keep her as an Echo Fighter. Like changing Blue Toad to Toadette is just an aesthetic change, right? So you'd have to make the only thing I could think of is having it so that rather than vegetables, you pull out other stuff. But again, it's not whatever. But I kept Daisy around though because Daisy's super popular and for another reason as well, which I'll get to later. So the next character, number 5. Oh right, Rosalina and Luma. There we go. So the third princess, I kept them in. I know they being like not as major characters in the Mario series, they could be up for cuts, but they got a really unique play style and lots of fans, so I just felt like there wasn't any reason to cut them. I know Sakurai doesn't want to flood the roster with Mario characters, but they are all like super recognizable and stuff. So yeah, I think they should stay. Anyway, so that's Rosalina and Luma. So the next one. All right, Bowser. So we get onto the villain side of things this time. Bowser is here. Again, the same moveset wise as he probably would be in Ultimate. I think the main difference is if I was in charge, I would give him like his actual voice from the games. The raw dinosaur is like fine, but Bowser's moved way beyond that at this point. So I would almost certainly let him have a voice a bit more fitting of what he currently is in the Super Mario series. But yeah, otherwise, moveset wise, I think Bowser's fine, to be honest. So next one. And again, Bowser Jr., I have not really cut any Mario characters except for Dr. Mario. He's not showing up. I think it should be obvious as to why Dr. Mario has been cut. I wouldn't even make him... yeah. Wouldn't even make him a costume for Mario. No, wouldn't even make him a skin. Just because, like, I feel like they were made a character and not a skin for a reason. And I probably wouldn't go back on that suggestion. So while Mario might have some different costumes, I mean, Mario and Luigi, because there's plenty of costumes for them to choose from, especially if you look at like Mario Kart Tour or Odyssey, where they got a billion. I just wouldn't have Dr. Mario be one of them. Bowser Jr. would keep all the Koopaling outfits, though. Like, I see no reason not to have Bowser Jr. be there with all the Koopalings. Gives them a whole, like, loads more characters for people to pick from. All right, next character. All right, Yoshi at the end, not in the middle of the Mario characters Ultimate, or no, Smash 4. I think it was
That's
that did that.
that's Smash 4.
Yeah, Yoshi has his own icon, it's his own series, so he should have his own space here. So I've included him at the end. Although, again, I would not really change Yoshi. I don't think there is much you can do to change him. I think it would be nice to have some way of having his egg throw be an actual, like, not how it currently is as his up special. But I actually don't really know where I would put it. Like it'd kind of be really clunky because I think his tongue works naturally as his neutral B. So it'd have to be like his side B or his down B, and it's just a bit weird. So yeah, Yoshi is here. So next, moving on.
Somebody asked how many characters are in this fake roster. We decided the same amount as Ultimate base game, aside from
Yes.
Echo Fighters.
Yep. So same as Ultimate's base game. So it's 69 newcomers and then however many echoes it was.
Yeah.
Yep. So Wario's up next. Again, really do much to change. I know people like his Wario Land version more than WarioWare, but given that WarioWare is the big series that's still around, I'd probably still keep him in that design and just have the Wario Land overalls be secondary. Although I suppose there is a good argument to be made to have the Wario Land overalls be his default, and that's because of the next character that's popping up now. If you want to go to that.
Oh. Oh.
Yep.
Oh,
It's
okay.
his time. The first newcomer I've added to this is Waluigi. He had to happen eventually, right? And this is also why I kept Daisy around. I kind of find it. I feel like Daisy and Waluigi are like a pair. They're like the spin-off duo.
Mm-hmm.
So I currently find the Ultimate roster kind of weird that Daisy is there and Waluigi isn't. So I feel like with Waluigi being one of the most wanted characters for the next game, I think he should get a spot on here. And if he's going to get there, it'd be weird if Daisy wasn't here as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think they have to sort of come together. But Daisy can still be an Echo Fighter. Waluigi wouldn't work as an Echo Fighter of anyone, so he gets to be his own spin-off based moveset.
I don't know. Bayonetta's right there.
That's true. That's true. Well, where is she?
Ooh.
So next up, we got Donkey Kong. Again, nothing super exciting with this one. It's just still Donkey Kong plays as Donkey Kong does. I think his Smash Brothers moveset is still pretty good representation for what he currently is in the Donkey Kong series. So yeah, no coconut gun for this one. So next character along.
And spurts.
It does. Diddy Kong, again, same situation as Donkey Kong. This isn't Mario Kart. You should have Diddy Kong on there. It pretty much would play exactly the same as he does in Ultimate. I can't think of any reason to change how Diddy Kong plays. So now on to the next one, and this one's going to be a bit more controversial, but sort of expected. It's Dixie Kong, but as an Echo Fighter of Diddy Kong. And I will always stand by this fact. I know that they can't play exactly the same, but like Ken is an Echo Fighter of Ryu, but he also has slight variations and changes. And Dixie Kong is the same thing. It's like Dixie Kong is the same size, same proportions as Diddy. You just need to move the moves that Diddy has where he uses his tail and replace them with new ones where Dixie uses her hair, which is only a couple moves. And then all the actual specials work really well, except for the up special, but you can just use Donkey Kong's up specials, sort of hitboxes and stuff for that. Like, he had a custom in Smash 4 where he twirled up just as Dixie Kong does in Tropical Freeze. So just you do that for Dixie Kong, and there you go. You've got a pretty accurate representation of her without her having to be new. She could be a semi-clone, but in my roster, she's an Echo Fighter. Mainly, like, I didn't even have enough space to add a semi-clone character anyway. So, yeah, I will always stand by the fact that Dixie Kong would be an Echo Fighter of Diddy Kong, and I'm going to keep that here too.
Chat's going insane, but I have a feeling I know what the next icon is. Yeah, sorry guys.
Don't
let
worry,
me fix it.
He's not cut.
Let me fix it. We're just gonna add a little.
He's just gonna add a little thing onto the end.
Yeah. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah, I'm not gonna cut King K. Rool. I just put all the Kongs first. That was all. The King K. Rool's way too popular to be cut, and he's way too fun as well. Like of all the most wanted newcomers that Smash Ultimate added, I think King K. Rool just is one of the most fun to play as. I don't know if he's any good competitively, but he's just very funny to troll people with. I like King K. Rool; he gets to stay. But he is the end of the DK lineup, so we're going to move on now to the next row. And it's Link, still in his Breath of the Wild outfit, because that's the current main one. And yeah, Link would play pretty much as Link does in Zelda. I did contemplate whether or not I wanted the other Zelda characters to all match Link's design, go back to the shared design, but I ultimately actually decided against that, because I kind of like the idea that they're all from separate games. Gets to represent a bunch of the different styles out there, I guess, for Zelda. But yeah, Link is still there. He'd still have his regular outfit as his as an alternate costume, as well as some other outfits. It might be interesting to have not big palette swaps and have some of the outfits from Breath of the Wild, just like how Mario got some Odyssey outfits.
Yeah,
like that would be pretty neat. But yeah, Link is here as it is. So next up.
Oh no! I dragged and select the entire folder again.
Oh no! All right, Zelda again. Just like with Link, I couldn't really see much reason to change Zelda. I actually quite like how she plays in Ultimate. I like how she uses the magic stuff. I might give her the light arrows back as her final smash. I don't know. It the Triforce warp thing is like crazy powerful for final smash. But that's like the only thing I could really think of to change. I think Zelda's moveset, I like it personally. I can see people in the chat are a bit different on that. But next up, all right, Ganondorf. So again, keeping the Ocarina of Design. Again, I contemplated if that is Ganondorf in Breath of the Wild 2, using that design and having Zelda use her design as well. But then I decided forget it. I would change Ganondorf up. He would basically be a newcomer. I think a lot of his standard attacks could stay the same, but I feel like he's got to have some sort of magic attacks. Like his neutral special really should be Dead Man's Volley. He should have some magic things going on. He should use his... Like, they gave him his sword, again, from the Space World demo, when he should really have his trident. So, yeah, I did contemplate using Ganon instead, but Ganondorf he kind of fits better into Smash. I think if you go for Ganon, you have to have, like, classic Ganon, like Link to the Past Ganon. You have to have that form of it, because any other form would be way too, like, massive and unruly. I know size shouldn't really count, but I am sort of considering it in this, because otherwise he runs the risk of being either too big or smaller than Ganondorf.
Yeah.
Which is a bit silly. Alright, you could probably put the next two characters up at the same time, actually, because I'll probably talk about them together. So we've got Sheik. Sheik is still here. And then along with Sheik, we have Impa as an Echo Fighter. Now, originally, I actually cut Sheik and just had Impa included as the new character. But this is going to spoil the rest of this. There are no other Zelda characters. This is where Zelda stops for me. And I kind of felt bad cutting 3 Zelda characters just to add one more. And I was trying to think of more Echo Fighters to add. And so I ended up retroactively re-adding Sheik back, because I felt like it would be weird to add Impa as a new character and then have Sheik be Impa's Echo Fighter. So I felt like if it was going to be like that, I may as well just have Sheik be the default and then have Impa be the Echo Fighter instead. Yeah, it does mean there's no Toon Link and no Young Link. Which, I mean, I like Young Link. I like both of them, to be honest. But I was trying to come up with movesets that would be super new, so I tried to trim down a lot of the semi-clones, I guess they're called. So, which Toon Link is. You could redo Toon Link, of course, and give him a new moveset based on them games, which could have been an option. I mean, that's basically what I've done here for Ganondorf. But I had other characters I wanted to add to the game. So, unfortunately, there's no Toon Link and Young Link this time. There's only the one Link. And yeah, Impa Skyward Sword design I wanted to go for, because if I was going to have them all be different designs, I should just represent Skyward Sword. It's like Impa's best design as well. So
All right.
cool.
So next slot, and you'll see what I mean later when I'm about to say this, but it's time to see if Nintendex is based.
Okay.
Damn.
You'll see. I think I know what you're referring to, but I did this in this order because this has multiple characters in it. So Samus is here with the Metroid Dread outfit for Samus. If Link's going to get the design update for the latest game, Samus should get it as well. Moveset wise, honestly, moveset wise, I think Samus should also remain the same. A lot of people want to see Samus change, but I don't think the moveset's that bad or outdated like some people seem to think. Like Project M has the weird swapping with taunts, which I suppose you could include, but it doesn't feel like a sort of thing they would. But yeah, Samus is still around. So moving on. Ridley. So this means I've cut Dark Samus as an Echo Fighter. In fact, no, I've just cut Dark Samus entirely, to be honest. I wanted to use the Echo Fighter spots for different characters, and Dark Samus is cool and all, but Dark Samus also doesn't really play like Dark Samus does, right? Like in Prime. So I kind of just
making the roster, I was under the assumption that we didn't have a limit on Echo Fighter spots, just what fit.
Oh, okay. I gave myself the same limit on Echo Fighters as Ultimate had.
If that's the case, I can just make changes on the fly.
Because if that wasn't the case, there is one character I think I would have kept. I should say, an Echo Fighter I cut. We can just do it as is. As long as you haven't gone, I guess, like completely over the top with the amount of Echo Fighters in there.
No.
Then we can keep it as is, and I can always retroactively add a couple Echo Fighters in. But yeah, anyway, Ridley is here as well, and Ridley plays just like Ridley. So moving on to the next one. We got a new Metroid character. It's the big man himself, Raven Peak. I wanted a new Metroid character. I know in the last video we kept Silex in because we were thinking, Metroid Prime 4, and he would be a big focus and all that, so he'd make a lot more sense. But personally, if I had to go for the two of them, it would be Ravenbeak. Just seems like a lot cooler. It's cool to have a Kozo there. He's got a lot of cool, unique abilities and stuff. I just think he'd be a big menace, and he's clearly very popular. So I think Ravenbeak is my choice. But no, there is no Silex, and yeah, there's no Zero Suit Samus. I cut Zero Suit Samus from the roster. I think I don't think she's bad or anything, but I think of the Metroid characters, she's like the most superfluous, if that's the right word. Doesn't really need to be there. So yeah, these are the three Metroid reps we've got here. So moving on, we've got Pit, moving to Kid Icarus. So Pit is here. Pit would play just like Pit does. Now, I did cut Dark Pit, but he was the one I was referring to as if I could add more space, I would probably just keep Dark Pit in the roster. Because, like, why cut him, right?
Yeah.
He's literally just a texture swap of Pit. I mean, you have to do the new voice lines and stuff and the new Final Smash and all that, but that's not too difficult, especially given his Final Smash is basically just to play on, like, Sheik's Final Smash already. In fact, we talked about if you're going to keep your Echo stuff in there, if you have an icon of Dark Pit, just chuck him in there after Pit. Because I wouldn't even make Dark Pit an alt costume. Because in the same way that Mario in Dr. Mario, I wouldn't. It'd be really weird at this point to make Dark Pit an alt. Especially because he was removed for a specific reason. But if you've got over the Echo Fighter limit, I'll do it as well on the fly. For it. Yeah, so just chuck Dark Pit in there as well. He gets to live. So yeah. Dark Pit gets to stay. There's no real reason to cut him. I'm sorry, Rebirth. I know I was a Giga Chat for like 2 seconds, but yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, as James said, I wouldn't downgrade any character. Like, maybe if a character gets cut, including them as an assist trophy as fan service. But even then, I think people would just be mad at that. So maybe
No,
even
people
that's
would be
not a good
really
idea.
mad at that.
Yeah. So maybe it's just better to not have them at all. Anyway, next in line then is Palutena. Again, I'd probably just keep Palutena as is. She doesn't have a lot going for her moveset wise already, but she makes sense to include as the Peach and Zelda and stuff for the series. She's obviously the last Kid Icarus character. I'd love to add Medusa. Medusa would be great. But given that Kid Icarus has basically had no relevance outside of Smash since Uprising, however, nearly a decade ago now, it's a very hard sell to have Medusa in there. And I know some people think Medusa is an echo for Palutena, and it could work. But I feel like I don't know, I'd rather have Medusa have her own thing going on, or at least be a semi-clone, in which case I need a space to add her in. So no Medusa, no Medusa. Next character though. Next character is based.
Chat, this is a personal template that I made and put a lot of hours into, and some other people put a lot of hours into. It's not going to be publicly available. Sorry about that.
Yep. Alright.
Let's go!
I included him on the end because he's a part of the Famicom 4, but he's also the only one from his series. So I wanted to go in series order. I know why he would go after Impa. Like, I can see the logic behind it, but no, Takamaru, he's here. Of course, I've got to add him. I've been pushing for him for the last 2 games. So this is the base. This is the base I wanted, Emir. He's also like the retro pick for this one. I just like, having things completion. I don't know if it's OCD or not, but there are 4 in the Famicom 4 and there are only 3 of them in Smash right now. So I need my Takamaru. I probably wouldn't use the Samurai Warriors design though. I'd probably have something a bit more akin to what he currently looks like as an assist trophy. Maybe the Samurai Warriors color can be a color scheme, just like the Captain Rainbow one can be a color scheme.
The slot just uses the Samurai Warriors design because that is the highest quality render there is of him.
Yeah, no, that's
Assist trophy model is kind of bad.
Yeah, there are renders of the assist trophies, but they're not very great.
Yeah.
They're very tiny for some reason. All right. Anyway, next choice.
Oh dear. Oh no.
What do you mean? Oh no.
Give me 1 second. This is gonna be scuffed.
Why are you doing this? Marth. Oh, okay. You want to keep him like that? Yeah, no, all the Fire Emblem characters come next because logically, this is the order that they did release in. So we're into Fire Emblem timeline now. Marth is still Marth. Marth doesn't need to change. There's no reason to change Marth. I haven't included Alia though, because I just don't see the point in including Alia. I know they're not like Marth. I mean, they have punching attacks for starters. But I feel like if you're gonna include Alia, you should include Marth as like their stand kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I thought the idea of having Marth and Marth together would be really weird. Like Chrom and Robin together is already weird when Chrom is playable. So, yeah, Marth absolutely over the newcomer. So next on is Lucina. Yeah, just like with Dark Pit stuff, I see no reason to cut Lucina. And I actually think Lucina, of all the Echo fighters, I actually think Lucina serves like a good purpose of having a version of Marth that's like a little easier to play and stuff. You don't have to worry about the tipper. Like, I think that's like a clever way of doing Echo fighters because you've still got Marth who's there for skilled players, and then you've got Lucina who's there for, I guess, more casual players or people who just aren't very good at pulling off the tipper mechanic. So I just don't see any reason to cut Lucina. She's also really popular, so yeah. I could give Ali a Sigurd, to be fair, but yeah, where'd the horse come from? Have to be the final smash. Or I could make Ali a swap between them all. Anyway, Ike is here now. That means I have indeed cut Roy, and with Roy I've also cut Chrom. They're fun. Roy is funny. He's obviously not a Marth clone anymore, but he's still a semi-clone, and I tried to cut the semi-clones where I could, really. Ike, I made his default this Radiant Dawn look because that just seems to be what Intelligent Systems has been going for with Ike from now on. He can still have his Path of Radiance look as a costume. I would just have his Radiant Dawn look be the default one again this time. He's just cool. He also makes him stand out from the others because he looks more older than the rest of them. So anyway, next one for Fire Emblem is Robin. Robin is like Robin and Marth are like the two Fire Emblem characters I don't think the series should ever cut. Because Robin adds like a lot more uniqueness, and he's also from Awakening, which is, you know, one of the big games, if not like the biggest Fire Emblem game. I know it hasn't sold the most, but it still had like such a huge impact. So I think Robin should always stick around, and obviously female Robin is going to be an alt as well. So next one. Yep, I've kept Byleth, and I've cut Corrin. Corrin obviously, like, Corrin's fun, but he and she obviously have a lot of haters in the community. They're obviously still really disliked by a lot of them, and I don't know. I think Corrin got in because they were like the new Fire Emblem character, but they're not that anymore. Byleth isn't even the newest one, but I felt like if I was going to keep one of the two of them, I'd rather keep Byleth. And I've made female Byleth the default one because I think more people like that design for Byleth. I think that's the more popular one. So yeah, I thought it also changed things up from Robin, who's got the male as the default. And yeah, that's it for my Fire Emblem characters. I don't actually have any more Fire Emblem characters to add. And like I said earlier, I didn't want to add Alia because I didn't think Alia would add anything totally interesting. I did debate adding Fjorm from Heroes and having a rep from Heroes, or Veronica from Heroes. That would be the other big, probably more likely choice than Fjorm. I just want a spear character in the game, really. But yeah, I decided against that because I just felt like there were better places to put my stuff. There's no Shares, there's no Hector, the Black Knight would be fun. I admit the Black Knight would be fun, but I just keep him as an assist trophy. Same for Lyn, to be honest. Lyn's just not very relevant at the moment outside of Engage, but Engage made like a whole bunch of them relevant. Shez would also be interesting, but being a Warriors character, and with Byleth already being there, I don't know. It probably is very incorrect, but this is my roster. I like Fire Emblem, but I just couldn't think of a good character to add over other characters that I added. So anyway, yeah, that does it for Fire Emblem. So I think up next is Kirby. Yes, I actually couldn't remember if Kirby or Star Fox came first. I the Kirby characters are coming first here.
I believe it is Kirby. Star Fox is 1993.
Okay, good. I got it right. So yeah, Kirby is up next, and Kirby is Kirby. There really isn't a lot to change on this. I know, again, this is another character people think should have their moveset changed, but I disagree with that. I think their moveset works perfectly fine. I don't really see a reason to change it up. Yeah, but Kirby is still here.
Oh god, I have selected the entire folder again. This is going to be a recurring thing. That's the third time. Start keeping count.
So King Dedede up next. Again, not really any reason to cut DDD. You gotta keep DDD. He's the king. He's the best. So keep him there. He should be here. Unchanged as well, because he's glorious as he is. So next up. Yep, we got Meta Knight. So I don't know if I would give him Galactonite or Morpho Knight or Galactonite or Morpho Knight as like actual costume, like, you know, completely changing costumes with a new name. But I would probably give them colors, like you'd have a Morpho Knight color where the mask would look like Morpho Knights or Galactonites, and then Dark Meta Knight. Again, you could have Dark Meta Knight be just an alt in the same way Alf is, or the Koopalings are. So I suppose that's also doable. I don't know. It depends on how much time and effort it would take to change the wings and stuff, and if it really feels like them. But yeah, Meta Knight, he's sticking around. The next character, though, might be a little controversial. Might be a bit of a hit to some fans.
I would just like to say before I drag the slot in, because it is showing me a preview of it, that I had some people hounding me about this yesterday. And to
Oh
those
yeah.
people, no.
No, he's here. It's the little egg cat himself. I like Bandana D. I really do. He's obviously super popular, so he would make a lot of sense being added. But in terms of being like super interesting, I feel like Magalore is more interesting of a fighter than Bandana D. And I feel really bad for that. But if I had to pick between two of them, I just think Magalor's more interesting. He's clearly like a major character now in Kirby. Obviously, not just because Return to Dreamland Deluxe has come out, but he's been pretty consistent side character ever since he was introduced back on the Wii. He's clearly like Hal clearly really likes him and sticking him around. So yeah, I decided that Magalore should be here instead of Bandana D. Which is he's the only new Kirby character as well. So yep. Whoops. Yeah, you do lose out on a pure spear wielder though, and especially after I was saying with Fire Emblem I wanted a spear character, not having him does get in the way. But yeah. Oh, you can drop it. It's fine. It's just Fox. And Fox would basically just be Fox. I mean, why not both? It's just a simple matter of space, Lex.
Yes.
We had a limit to how many characters we could add, and Bandana D wouldn't work as a echo of anyone. So yeah, I know he's big in Japan, but Magalore is also really popular in Japan. He was even really popular back when we did that poll where looking at the Japanese side of things, he was still like in the top 10. I mentioned this when you weren't here, Dusty. Dark Samus wasn't here because I did have a limit. Well, I had a limit on Echo. See, I didn't know. I didn't think Echo Fighters were free. I thought we had a limit on how many Echo Fighters we could add. So I cut Dark Samus, and I originally cut Dark Pit because for the Dark Samus' sake, they just don't feel like how Dark Samus should play. Like they feel like just Samus. So I just didn't see the point in keeping Dark Samus around. Now, as we were doing this roster, Matt told me we could. He put in more Echo Fighters, so I've retroactively re-added Dark Pit because Dark Pit is just a really easy inclusion. There's like quite literally no reason to cut him because he doesn't use a different model from regular Pit. He's just a different color and some different animations. But Dark Samus still doesn't play like Samus. So I don't think I'd keep Dark Samus around still. There's another Echo Fighter I'd probably add back in instead. It is a good villain rep, it is a good prime rep, but I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they shouldn't. Dark Samus should be in Smash as a semi-clone, really, not as an Echo, in my opinion. But I can't add. Yeah, Daisy is still here because I would like to make Daisy slightly more different, but I can't see a world where Waluigi is added and not Daisy. I think it's already weird that Daisy's in Smash and Waluigi's not. So I think if one of them's got to be there, the other one's got to be there. That's why Daisy's still around. Anyway, sorry, Fox. He's no different, so we can just move on from that. Wolf is here again. So these are the only two Star Fox characters. So Falco is gone. I think I've said this many times, but I find Falco to be like one of the most pointless characters on the roster. I think like it. I think having Fox and then Wolf, leaders of both of their squads, is more interesting personally. Wolf also plays differently enough, whereas I still feel like Falco plays a bit too similar to Fox still, in my personal opinion. Like, Fox and Falco have very similar niches that they fill, whereas similar to Marth and Lucina, where like Lucina's like an easier version for people who want to play Marth, Wolf is like a version of Fox that's just stronger, hits harder, so people who can't deal with Fox's speed can still get fun out of playing with Wolf instead. But Falco doesn't offer any of that. And I don't think Falco, Slippy, and Peppy would work as like costumes for Fox, and I wouldn't want to downgrade Falco to be in a costume anyway. So yeah, just Fox and Wolf. No new Star Fox characters. There hasn't really been a new Star Fox game since Star Fox 2. So yeah, Slippy and Peppy would be weird as alts.
That's such a weird sentence.
What?
There hasn't been a new Star Fox game since Star Fox 2.
Yeah, I know. It is technically the newest Star Fox game. Yeah, no crystals on a kid. She hasn't been in anything since Command. That's not Smash. I think she's fine as an not an Echo Fighter, an assist trophy for now. If she ever shows up in the Star Fox series again, though, then I think there's like a reason potentially to add her. But yeah, that's Fox and Wolf done. I can't remember what comes up next.
Oh no!
Yeah, it could be Pokemon.
Oh, this is gonna be a mess.
It is. This is why Smash's own roster doesn't even keep them in line like that. I guess you can fill out the blanks with characters from single series, but I didn't do that when I sent that to you. You can fill them out when the single series start coming out. You can use it to fill out the roster if you want. Yeah, all right. Pikachu. Pikachu is here because he's still the mascot. Even if Ash has now retired and he's no longer the main Pokemon in the anime, he is still the mascot of Pokemon. So Pikachu stays. He gets to stay. Next up. Yep, it's Mewtwo. And that means Jigglypuff is cut. Goodbye, Jigglypuff. I am sorry to everyone who's been playing her since the beginning. But Jigglypuff has been on the chopping block even in regular Smash many times and just manages to get through at the end. Not this time. To be honest, I tried to keep them all going for a single gen, like trying to have one Pokemon per gen, discounting Pikachu because he's the mascot. So Mewtwo's the Gen 1 one. This does also mean I have, in fact, cut Pokemon Trainer as well. There's no Squirtle, Ivysaur, or Charizard in this roster. I kept Mewtwo because he's a legendary. He gets to represent all the legendary. He's pretty cool. So yeah, Mewtwo gets to stick around. So Lucario is up next. Even though I said I was keeping one from each gen, there is no Gen 2 because I've cut Pichu as well.
There is no Gen 3.
Obviously, there's no Gen 3, but there's no Gen 3 in Smash already. So big diddums. So Lucario sticks around. Honestly, I feel like Lucario is a fighting game Pokemon. He's super popular. Similar to how I said Marth and Robin should always be the Fire Emblem reps and that never get cut, I honestly think that Pikachu and Lucario should be the Pokemon reps that never get cut. Like, they're the two I feel like the series can benefit from having. So Lucario is gone. No, he's not. Lucario is still here. What am I saying? I just read chat where someone mentioned cutting Jigglypuff. Greninja is like the most popular Pokemon. I know Charizard is also got that sort of title, but he's gone. to stop all the Gen 1 representation, he is gone. But Greninja gets to stay. He's a ninja. So next up. So we got Incineroar. So I'm not a big fan of Incineroar. I kept him for a very specific reason because I initially had him on the chopping block. But then I had a really, really funny idea. So I kept him. So show the next character.
I'm scared.
It's an Echo Fighter for Incineroar. That just randomly has. So I was thinking of Echo Fighters, so originally on this roster, I cut Pokemon Trainer, but I had N in instead, and that's because I've always wanted N from Black and White in Smash because N feels like the type of guy who would fight alongside his Pokemon. You know, he's all about that Pokemon equality and stuff. For whatever reason, I've always kind of wanted a Pokemon character that is an actual trainer, human, fighting alongside. I know the Pokemon Company would never do it, but I always like the idea. And then I was having a chat with a friend, and they were like, well, what about the wrestler guy from Gen 6, Masked Royal? And I was like, he could be an Echo Fighter for Incineroar because they're both wrestlers. You just take the fire mechanic off, but otherwise, and he does in fact fight Pokemon in that game and in the anime. So I don't know. I thought the idea was so funny that Incineroar got to stay just so I could implement this idea.
This is an unexpected turn.
He'd have a Kukui ult as well, so you could play him in his Professor garb. But yeah, he would just play like Incineroar, but without any of the fire effects. Maybe his counter would be like an actual counter rather than the power up thing. But yeah, I would play Incineroar if it was actually just Master Royal instead.
He's so funny.
So, yeah, it works. It works as an Echo Fighter for Incineroar. And I can't think of another Echo Fighter for Incineroar, so there we go. Alright, we do have a new Pokemon as well, though. I threw in the Pink Menace from the latest gen.
I know Twitter.
Yeah, I know going for a starter Pokemon is usually the thing, but I kind of wanted to buck that trend, and Tinkaton is like super popular. I actually kind of forgot that King Dedede was already in the roster when I initially put her down, because I was like, there's something with a big hammer, that's new. And then I remembered that King Dedede existed, but they would play differently. I don't know, Tinkaton is just a really fun design. They're clearly super popular. We'll have to see how they play, if they got a big role in the anime, but I imagine they probably will, given their popularity. So, yeah. I threw Tinkaton in there. It'd be fun. That'd be a fun character to have. But that's my new Pokemon, which brings us to the end of, well, my second new Pokemon rep, I guess. Which brings us to the end of the thing. I did consider having a Legends Arceus character as the player that would fight. But they don't really fight, do they? They're involved in the battles because they can get the shit kicked out of them.
Yeah.
They cannot fight, though. So yeah, and there's no rep for Gala, because it's now old. Yeah, Tinkaton would definitely get in the next Smash, but yeah, just that either as a Pokemon or as a playable character. But I put playable. Shulk is here. Xenoblade is obviously huge. Got to keep Shulk around. He's the Marth of the Xenoblade series. He's still like one of the most popular characters from there. So we can go on to the next one. He'd probably just play the same. But I did cut Pyro and Mythra and replace them with Mio. Mio, I feel like Mio both like Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is obviously really big. It's the latest one. But Mio is. I also had this angle where Shulk is obviously Kavesi from the Xenoblade 1 verse, and Mio is Agnes from the Xenoblade 2 verse, even though she wasn't in that game. So they kind of represent. She kind of also could represent the Xenoblade 2 as well through that. Yeah, I just added Mio. I wouldn't add. I know a lot of people really want Noah and Mio, but I just don't see it happening. Like, I don't know why they would. Why would you add them together? Why wouldn't it not just be a situation like Robin and Chrom, where Chrom shows up in Robin's moveset for the final Smash? Why would you not just have Noah show up in Mio's moveset and become Ouroboros for that? Because that's the only way. Ouroboros isn't going to be... Alright, I know, Master Royal is just a fun inclusion. I know it's not going to actually happen, but this is my roster. But I don't know why you would actively add... Like why Ouroboros isn't going to be anything other than a final Smash, like, logistically. I don't know how it's like huge. It'd be like turning into Giga Bowser for a brief period of time. So I don't know. A lot of people really want Noah and Mio, but I also don't know what Noah on his own would do that would make him stand out from Shulk. Like how do people imagine Noah and Mio? It can't be. Would it be an ice climate situation? Because it's not like Pyro and Rex was, or Pyro and Mythra, Rex and Mythra, sorry, where one of them would fight and the other one would support, and then they could swap. Noah and Mio can both fight at the same time. So would you have it be ice climbers, but then they have different moveset? That just sounds like a nightmare. You may as well just add them both as their own characters. But Noah just plays like Shulk. You can add Noah maybe as a Shulk Echo Fighter, but even then, I don't think that works very well, because the counter would just kind of be a counter, and they wouldn't have the art swap. And of those two, Noah and Mio is absolutely the more likely one to get in. she offers like a completely unique moveset, whereas Noah wouldn't. And Mio's also more popular than Noah. So yeah, I'm personally, I'd love it if Noah and Mio both get in, but I just don't see that as likely to happen at all. I feel like it's going to be Mio only, and then Noah just appears for the final smash, which would be the Ouroboros transformation, and where it just do like the cutscene from the end of whatever their chain attack is. So that would be, that's how I do it. I mean that's how I stand by it. I don't think that they would wear. I don't know. I just don't think Noah's gonna get in. I'm afraid Noah fans out there, and yeah, I cut Pyra and Mithra as well. They're probably, if I could add anyone back who's like a newcomer, I'd probably add Pyra and Mithra. But then you got to add both of them, and they're technically both original characters, so they would technically have taken up 2 spaces on the roster for us. So yeah. Moving on then from Xenoblade.
that was a segment.
Yeah, I know it's super popular. But Ilchakas, we're still on the Nintendo part of it, so yeah, Inkling is up next. Splatoon big. Heard girl Inkling, boy Inkling. We can add the next one in as well because it's like the most obvious Echo Fighter ever.
All right, that's time number 4 that I've selected the entire folder.
Yeah, Octoling Echo Fighter, yeah. It's like the most obvious possible Echo Fighter you could have. I see literally no reason. I mean, you could make Octolings alts as well. Like, they would also just work as alt costumes. Sure. It depends, I guess, whether or not... I suppose it depends on how many ink colors you can justifiably have in the game, because the only issue with Octoling being an Echo Fighter and not just an alt costume like Alpha's is that you'd have to have 8 unique colors so that they stand out from the Inkling's colors. So you could have an argument there for Octoling actually being a costume instead. But I've always just thought of Octoling as an Echo Fighter, so I included them as an Echo Fighter. And yeah, I mean, Noah is also the main character, but Mio is also the main character. I'd argue that, I know it follows Noah's perspective, but I would argue that they're like both the main characters of that game. So yeah, Noah is just the one that they focus on because there's obviously more of a twist with Mio, which I didn't mention. Mio would have a certain spoiler outfit as part of one of her alt costumes as well, because Smash doesn't care about not spoiling people most of the time anyway. Yes, no big man, I'm afraid. No big man. That would be a funny trio, though. I mean, they do technically fight. So yeah, moving on, we're now down to the single characters from Nintendo anyway. Which also obviously spoils a few things for later, but Mr. Game & Watch is here. He just plays like Mr. Game & Watch. I don't see any reason to change anything about him, so Mr. Game & Watch, woo. And similar, Little Mac, he is also here. He would also have the same sort of ults he's got in Smash, so he'd have one with his hood up, he'd have one with the wireframe one. Like, those all work fine for Little Mac. So, yep, Little Mac is in the house. Next up, we've got Duck Hunt. Again, Duck Hunt plays like Duck Hunt does, so he would, do that.
All right, let's see who you've got next. All right.
Yep.
It's
Next
time
up,
to
we got
start
Rob.
making adjustments.
Yes. They'll all be single up until we get to the third parties now. So, yes, this does mean a few things. Does Little Mac need a rework? I mean, I guess people obviously don't like necessarily playing as Little Mac, but it does fit him. Like, I understand what Sakurai was going for with Little Mac, so I'm not really sure how you'd adjust him, like, unless you just removed his ability to not suck in the air. So yeah, so Duck Hunt is there, and then coming up next, I mean, you may as well move that all along. It's going to be Ice Climbers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't see a reason to cut the Ice Climbers. I almost did. I almost cut the Ice Climbers. But I don't want to cut new series if possible. Like, I'd like to keep series in. There is one series that is completely cut, and I'll explain that when it comes to it.
I have a feeling.
Yeah, I think you know what it is. I think I've mentioned it before. So, yep, Ness is up, and yep, Lucas has in fact been cut. I mentioned this obviously, but trying to cut down on the semi-clones. I don't think I like both Lucas and Ness, but you can add more unique characters to the roster than Lucas. Mother 3 still not being in the West means that Ness is still like the main one, and Ness has obviously been around for much longer. Could Nintendo be an alt costume? I mean, maybe, but I don't really see it would just be doing it for the sake of doing it. Especially because Nintendo also still doesn't play really like Ness anyway, kind of.
Chat, calm down. Chat, calm down.
Ness is still there.
He put them in the wrong order. Don't worry.
What? Did I put them in the wrong order?
Yeah.
No, Ness is... Earth Mother was released before F-Zero, right?
This is Earthbound.
Oh yeah, but it's still the Mother series. The Mother series came out first.
Okay.
They do it by series order. Thank you very much. So yeah, F-Zero is obviously still around. You're not gonna cut Captain Falcon. And in fact, I'll take it one step further. I'm gonna make that Blood Falcon ult that Captain Falcon has actually be called Blood Falcon, and just make him look evil, the same Olimar Alf thing. It's such an easy thing to do. You just don't really know why they didn't bother doing it. Like, he doesn't even need... I mean, I guess you'd need to record maybe a couple new voice lines to really sell it, but you've already got the look. The Blood Falcon look, right? So just change the name. But whatever. I don't know who voiced him in English, but it's Vegeta's voice actor in Japan. Next up is Villager, and he is the only Animal Crossing rep left. I think what I would probably do with Villager to properly update him is I would give him... it's not represented here, but I would give him his more modern design. Because this Villager is obviously based on the one from the Wii. And then when Isabelle was added, she was made taller because that's how the series has evolved from New Leaf onwards. All the villagers are much taller now. So Isabelle couldn't... That's the reason Isabelle couldn't be an Echo Fighter. I'd probably make Villager taller so that he fits the New Leaf and New Horizons aesthetic now, and then have the ults be references to that. So the pink-haired girl ult would be the ponytail one as opposed to the short-haired one that it currently is. Now, you could then argue that Isabelle could be kept in as an Echo Villager because they're now the same height. But again, I don't want to downgrade characters, so I don't think Isabelle would be done. I don't think Sakurai has... No, Sakurai said he didn't update Villager for the simple fact that, he doesn't like updating old characters greatly because he wants players to think, this is how they should be, right? That's why he hasn't updated Ganondorf, basically, at all. But I don't care about that. I've already updated Ganondorf so that he plays more like how Ganondorf is in the Zelda series as opposed to how he is in Smash. So I may as well upgrade Villager as well and make him taller. And have the same moveset, just be changes to the hitboxes. But yeah, I decided to cut again, trying to cut out some of the semi-clones. So I cut Isabelle from the roster. I think between Villager and Isabelle, Villager is the one that's most likely to stay, being that the player character. So yeah, that's why Isabelle's gone and Villager is here. So yep, next up. Nope, that is not the correct one. Shouldn't be. That's definitely not the correct one. Or have I shit. You
accidentally included 56 Pac-Man in there.
Yeah, whoops. That one will come later. That's meant to be the first of the third-party ones.
Funny.
It's because I was changing all the names of them as I was adding them in. Yeah. Olimar. Olimar is up next, Pikmin rep. Just like Olimar and Alf, I think we actually have with Pikmin 4 enough captains where we could go the whole Koopaling route with Olimar. Like, I don't think Louis, Charlie, and the President's body types are like so massively different enough that they would affect the hitbox. It's hard to really know without testing things. So I think you could get away with having Olimar, Louis, President, Alf, Brittany, Charlie, and then two characters from Pikmin 4, the two playable characters from that, as different costumes and do it that way. Yeah, someone made a mod that made them all work, so there we go. So I think it could work, so you may as well have that, right? So yeah, so Olimar, the Pikmin captains. All right, Rhythm Heaven, let's go. Rhythm Heaven, the conductor from Rhythm Heaven. Actually, the last character I added to this roster. I originally actually had Ashley from WarioWare on the roster, and then I decided I actually wanted a Rhythm Heaven rep, and ended up cutting her instead. Just unfortunately. But yeah, Rhythm Heaven, it does sort of really, I really think it should have a rep, but the series future is kind of what we don't know right now. But there was clearly plans to maybe have one in there, and I thought, it's a rhythm character, so why not have something that's like actually music related be the character? So I went for the conductor. This means the chorus kids could have their own, like specials and stuff. Like the chorus kids could be his neutral special and stuff, and you could. I didn't want to do Karate Joe and the Rhythm Samurai, who I know are the two that most people go for, or they go for just chorus kids themselves, or Tibby. I almost put Tibby in, but I thought the conductor would be. I don't know. I just like the idea of having him there. But yeah, I don't like Karate Joe. I think I personally find him a little boring, but I also feel like having a smaller character means that you can get away with doing more of the rhythm stuff. Like, if Karate Joe was to represent the whole rhythm game series, I think he's just like kind of too tall, and the Rhythm Samurai uses a sword, and you'd have to question why is he not using the sword in moves when they're referencing the other rhythm games and stuff. It's like, yeah, so I went for the conductor instead from Rhythm Heaven. He's the character. He has a Tibby alt, but it's not actually named Tibby, it's just the color scheme, because they kind of look the same. They both have an afro and stuff. And the Rhythm Heaven Cafe dog also, I don't think would work. They'd be fun, but I just don't think they would work very well as a fighter. Maybe if they were a Duck Hunt Echo or something. But yes, conductor is here. New series rep. So next up, I've kept Min Min because I like Min Min. I know a lot of people don't like Min Min, but I do. Arms as well, obviously a series. We'll have to see if Arms continues on. But yeah, that's why Min Min's the only Arms character. There's no new Arms rep. We don't know what the series is going to be like and stuff. Spring Man can stay as an assist trophy, but I kept Min Min. I like Min Min. So next up, we get new characters, I believe. Yes. I probably wouldn't call them Akira Howard. I'd probably call them Officer Howard because Akira's obviously their sibling.
We got that.
But
I'll put them in.
Okay, it wasn't on the list. It wasn't on the in the images you sent me, so I just included Akira.
Oh, I need to upload that.
There we go. Yeah. Yeah, so I would include Astral Chain. I personally like Astral Chain. I know not everybody does. But I wanted they're like Nintendo's newest series that I think is going to, well, actually no, they've got another one. This is like a new series from Nintendo that I think is going to keep their like get a new game and stuff, especially given that Nintendo decided to get all the rights and stuff from Platinum Games for it. So I think the series has a future. I think there's some fun stuff they can do there, especially given, and I guess spoilers for coming up, I've cut Bayonetta and Joker from this roster, which means there is now a space for both an action character and a character with a stand, I suppose. So yeah, Akira is the secondary character. Legionis, I don't think would be their name either. I'm pretty sure their name would be Officer Howard. Legionis, I don't think. To be honest, it's been ages since I've played the game. Yeah, no, I did cut Joker. Honestly, I find Joker to be a little boring to play as in Smash. His moveset
Legionis
is
is a
just kind of
title.
there.
Legionis is a title.
Okay. I cut Bayonetta as well. I just don't. Again, I don't. Bayonetta isn't a Nintendo property, even though they made Bayo 2 and 3, and they obviously have stakes in the series. It's also not like a major franchise. Yeah, like I've always sort of felt like Bayonetta only really got in because of the timing and stuck around because Ultimate didn't cut anyone. I think Bayonetta is one of those third-party characters that's very likely to be cut. And yeah, no, I'm not replacing Joker with another Persona rep. There just isn't a Persona rep in this one. In my one. Yeah, well, it's different when it's like a third party versus a first party, and Takamaru is like my personal pick. So, anyway, moving on. I think this one might be the last first party character. The next one coming up.
60. Yes.
Yes. All right. Ring Fit trainee. Obviously, Ring Fit Adventure was like actually super successful. This is also why Wii Fit Trainer is cut. They wouldn't play the same. I think Ring Fit Trainer again could take some things from Wii Fit, but could also take some things from Bayonetta, given that a lot of their moveset is about making giant fists and giant feet come out of nowhere. You know, when they do their thing. So like. The Ring Fit trainee is also another reason why Bayonetta doesn't need to come back. The smash attacks could literally be the same. Dragao is the cooler Ring Fit rep, but I don't necessarily see Dragao happening. I remember, originally I think I considered Dragao as like, this is before we started doing this run. In the past, I considered Dragao as like an Incineroar Echo Fighter. Although he's not from Pokemon, obviously, and I kind of like Master Royale because it's funnier. Anyway.
It's pretty funny.
But Dragao is the cooler Ring Fit rep. But I feel like they'd probably more likely to go with Ring Fit trainee, especially if I'm cutting. Yeah, Wii Fit and Bayo doing the fusion dance to make Ring Fit. Oh right, Mii's. Sorry, Tenno. The Mii's are here. I just put them at the very end. They're at the very end.
The Mii's are at the very end, even in official Smash. So.
Yeah, so I included them at the very end. So the 3 Mii's are actually still around. I mean, I suppose they'll show up later. So I kept the Mii's. I didn't add any new Mii's though. They're just the same as they were. I think I'd probably add more moves to the Mii's. Just because I think that they could do with some updates or like a few more things. Maybe considering about what costumes they've got. Like the fact that there's like a Bomberman Mii costume but no bomb special is like really annoying. So yeah. Anyway, Ring Fit trainee. They're pretty sure they're the last first party one. So now you can throw Pac-Man back on there.
Oh yes, Pac-Man.
Now you can put 56 Pac-Man on.
Pac-Man is now.
There he is. Pac-Man is here. Kept Pac-Man in. He's the only Namco rep. I cut Kazuya. So there's no Kazuya. I didn't really want... Third parties were hard because there's a lot of new series in there that I really didn't want to cut, but I kind of had to. I had to cut some characters in order to add new characters in. So I just chose to cut Kazuya. I'm afraid. Yeah, I had to cut Tekken. There's going to be more of them oomph coming in a bit. But let's get the next character down. Alright, Sonic is here. I'd probably make a slight change to Sonic. Specifically, I'd probably change his side special. I'm not 100% sure what I would make it, though. I do think having his side special and down special both be the spin dash in some variation is kind of lame. I'd probably do the drop dash, though. Like, you press down B while in the air and Sonic does, like, the drop dash. That would be pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But what I did add, and you can throw the next one on, is Shadow as an Echo Fighter. Now, originally, I had Eggman in the roster, but due to not having enough space, I ended up cutting him. But I really wanted a second Sonic character in the roster, so I ended up adding Shadow in as an Echo Fighter, so that I could still have 2. Because I really wanted a villain, Sonic villain in the roster. Because originally, when I was doing this, I was kind of thinking heroes and villains for a bit. I thought that might be fun. But due to something else, I ended up, which I guess you can go to the next one. I ended up cutting that idea as well. Because I kept Hero in, and I yeeted Cloud and Sephiroth off the roster.
Oh.
Originally, I had both Cloud and Sephiroth still here, but again, I needed to make some space, and so I cut Sephiroth. But then I had to choose between Hero and Cloud, and it was like a really big decision. I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. But then I decided, you know what? I actually prefer Hero personally. I like Hero more than Cloud. I think Hero's gimmick is way funner than Cloud's gimmick. I don't know if any of them would ever appear on an actual roster because of Square Enix probably wanting them as DLC and stuff. So I decided, forget it. I'm gonna add Hero in. I'm gonna make it the Dragon Quest 3 Hero because that's what it should be, and not Dragon Quest 11 Hero. He can be an alt instead. But still there. Obviously, it would still be the same heroes. Would all still be there. But yeah, I cut I cut Final Fantasy for Dragon Quest because that is my personal preference. Oh yeah, Sora's also cut. Yeah, because Square Enix character. Yeah, no, I cut Sora as well.
It's okay.
Again, for similar reasons, but I didn't have nearly as hard a time cutting Sora as I did cutting
Don't
Cloud.
worry, we've got somebody who will vanquish the darkness.
Hell yeah, Simon. I also cut Richter, again, because I thought there was a limit to Echo Fighters, so I cut Richter. I don't know if I would bring Richter back, maybe. He's kind of like Dark Samus. He's in like the maybe I would bring him back pile, but he's not my first choice for Echo Fighter coming back. Just because there's no real harm in not having Richter, I suppose. Don't bother adding him in. There's someone else I'd rather add. Well, I think it's going to be obvious who now. We're not getting much left. Simon, yes. So Simon I kept. Castlevania is cool. I like them. Unfortunately, I didn't add Alucard. No. I kept it just to one. I also cut Snake. So Snake is also gone. Snake is much bigger than Bayonetta, so I understand why Metal Gear character should be here. I've always found Snake's inclusion to be rather weird compared to most of the other third-party characters that got added in. I guess it was less weird when Kazuya was also here. But tough shit. I cut Snake as well, so Snake is gone. Yes. It went off the deep end. I knew people would be mad at third parties, but it's gonna happen, right? They're gonna be cut down. Mega Man gets to stay though. I'm not even like massively fond of Mega Man personally, but people like Mega Man, so yeah. Mega Man, he gets to stay in the roster. And Ryu also gets to stay. Ryu is kind of like Pac-Man and Sonic in that I think these are like the three third-party characters that should probably always stay. Pac-Man should at least always stay as long as Bandai Namco are making the game. Sonic should stay because of the obvious history they've got with Mario. And Ryu is like the crossover king and like the fighting game character, right? So like, of course Ryu gets to stay. He's huge. I know Mega Man fits better as the platforming character, but Ryu is Ryu is more of the crossover one. And I guess if we're going to keep some echoes in, you may as well throw Ken back in as well for me. He's not going to be on my list because I cut him originally. But I know not everyone enjoys Ken being in there, but Ken kind of has that history as like the first ever Echo Fighter ever. Like he's literally was just a copy of Ryu, gets to be in there, and of all the Echo Fighters, he's like the most uniquely done. So I think if any Echo Fighter comes back after Daisy and Lucina, and Dark Pit, who I obviously all included for very specific reasons, it should be Ken. Ken should be first. So we'll keep him in there. We'll keep Ken in there. Yeah, so we can move on now. Capcom now gets 3 reps, which is a lot. But I see someone saying cut Terry because of SNK's connections to Saudi Arabia. Oh, is that the next one there?
Yes.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
67.
60. Oh yeah, I kind of
Crashes.
can. My bad.
Yeah. All
Just
right. Well,
talk
there you go.
about
There's a
Crash.
spoiler. Crash is there. I included Crash as a newcomer. But between Ryu and Crash, there is meant to be Mr. Bogard.
Yeah.
I did keep Terry in. I kept Terry in because King of Fighters was such a huge influence on Smash Brothers' existence, and I think Terry's the funnest of all the fighting game characters as well. So there's a bit of my personal preference in there, and like we also get to keep more companies in. So SNK also gets to stay in, whereas obviously cutting Tekken doesn't prevent Bandai Namco from being there because of Pac-Man. So I put Terry in. Crash now. Crash is like the big newcomer I fully expect. He's way more likely to happen if Microsoft gets to go through with that Activision buyout. Then I think Crash is like, obviously if that doesn't happen, then Crash is is in a bit of a weird place.
I think I disagree.
You think you disagree?
I think he is likely regardless of the merger because Nintendo's worked with Activision Blizzard before.
I mean, they have, but I don't know. I gotta feel like there's a reason Crash missed out because he's still like he's definitely like the most requested character at this point to be added in. And he must have been highly requested even when Smash Ultimate was making DLC. So there must have been a reason that Crash was being cut. And I don't know if Nintendo's relationship with Activision is that big at the moment. Like the only Activision games I can think of that have been on the Switch is Crash and Spyro maybe, but they got them late compared to everyone else. But yeah, I mean Crash is absolutely getting in over Dragonborn and Doom Guy. Not a Pro 64. I know that's Crash is like the most requested character, and I think there's a lot of fun to be had with Mario versus Sonic versus Crash versus the next character who you may as well throw up now. Yeah, Banjo and Kazooie. Again, the Banjo and Kazooie are again another personal fun pick from me because they're kind of still Nintendo characters, but they're also not because they're owned by Microsoft. But they're obviously really popular characters. They're, well, you know. So I wanted to keep Banjo and Kazooie. I understand Sora is technically more popular than him. I feel like Disney might be okay with the rights for Sora, but I don't know if Square Enix would want money. I feel like because I've not considered DLC in this. This isn't like a roster that includes DLC, but Sora feels like they would be a DLC character. They would add same for Cloud. Like both Cloud and Sora both feel like they would be DLC picks, whereas this is meant to be base game picks. Which, and hell, even with the base game, maybe I included too many third parties already based on Smash's track record with the base game. Yeah, Disney was perfectly fine with Sora and Smash, but they still have to go through Square as well. And given how Square has been with Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest, you know, I feel like that those characters are more likely to end up as DLC, but I wanted to keep one of the Square Enix characters in the base game, and I just personal preference went with Hero. Yeah.
Okay,
but
so
yeah.
there's
Anyway,
only a
next
few
one
more
on.
characters left.
Yes, there's only a few more characters left. The next one is the final newcomer.
Bottom row
well.
is going to be very empty. Do you want me to put Richter back on?
No, you can just
right.
keep it for now.
All
like
right.
that. I mean,
just,
like if I had that full free choice, I would just keep all the Echo Fighters because I just don't see why not. But I still want to limit myself somewhat.
All right.
I don't want to go super crazy. Adding because otherwise I'd add an Echo Fighter for like so many other characters as well. That'd be crazy. But yeah, Master Chief. Master Chief is the other new character to be added. He's obviously huge. Microsoft, obviously, they have no problem with adding Microsoft has no problem with adding characters. Master Chief is very different from Banjo and Steve. You may as well throw him on now because I see people bringing it up. But no, Steve is actually the next character. I just included him after Master Chief because Minecraft came out after Master Chief. So Steve stays. Steve stays. But Master Chief is the last newcomer because Steve is a veteran. But yeah, Master Chief. I debated between Master Chief and Doom Guy as well. But regardless of the quality of the recent Halo games, especially compared to the recent Doom games, I think for the wider audience, Master Chief is still like the bigger icon, right? Like he's still the platform. He's still Microsoft's mascot, quote unquote. Like he's not their official mascot, but he may as well be their official mascot. Just like how people really wanted to see Mario and Sonic, and people really wanted to see Link versus Cloud, people have always wanted to see Samus versus Master Chief. So you get that inclusion there as well. He's like, he'd be good as a first-person character, and he also is a bit more goofier as a first-person shooter. Like rather than having a regular ass soldier, he's like a space marine. And yeah, I just think Master Chief. It's entirely up to whether or not Microsoft or Nintendo would want Master Chief on the Switch. I mean, on Nintendo consoles. But I think he's one of the likelier third-party characters. Personally, I think he should be. Doom would be a mascot for PCs, yeah, but I don't know. Doom does have the gory problem going for it, which is an easier solution, but
Nintendo.
Yeah, I don't know. Yes,
is the third party supposed to be in release order?
Vaguely.
Do you want me to fix it for you?
They're in company order, and then release order, sort of. So Bandai Namco first, then Sega, then Square, then Konami, then Capcom, then SNK, then Activision, then Microsoft at the end. Okay. Is how I did it. But then also vaguely in release order. That's why Crash is before Banjo. That's why Terry is after. That's why SNK is after Capcom.
It's a bit of both.
Yeah, it's a bit of both.
Gotcha.
I went back and forth on what order to include them in. Yeah, and then the last three you can just throw them in. They're the Mii's. I kept all three Mii's in, which I suppose would be their own slot if it was an actual roster, but whatever. Oh wait, are they their own slot in Ultimate? Did they change that? I don't remember.
Individual.
Oh, they are individual. Okay. Well, okay, they'll be individual here as well. Chuck the three Mii's in. Yeah, I suppose if you wanted to sort this out, you'd probably want to move Terry and Ken down. I don't know, or Terry and Simon down, and then move them along. It's up to you. But
I'll resort it in release order before this gets posted.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So as for what other people saying, why not 2B? No, I don't hate 2B. 2B would be a fun choice. Again, it's Square Enix, and they're always like sort of difficult. But I felt like Crash and Master Chief were probably more likely picks. 2B could make a good DLC choice. Being big from a new game, but by the time the next Smash comes out, Nier Automata might not be as, big anymore. So Reimu again would be fun, but it's extremely unlikely-ish, though. Well, because I wanted it to be realistic, because if it wasn't realistic, I'd be having shit like Gex in here. I'd be like throwing all caution to the wind and be having loads of characters that just absolutely will not get into Smash on here. So I at least wanted to keep it down to choices that I think do have a chance of being into Smash. Masked Royal being the one exclusion, because I just thought the idea was just a joke. So funny. I thought that idea was so fucking funny. I had to include it. He's the only one that probably wouldn't get in here. Yeah, I mean, Starfy could count as retro now, but I think at this point, Starfy, actually, I was going to say just like Saki, but Saki was cut in Ultimate as an assist trophy, so yeah, I guess not. I mean, like one of the other reasons I added Rhythm Heaven character is I realized when I was making the roster that there's this huge gap between Pikmin and Min Min, where I didn't have a single newcomer. And so I kind of wanted to add someone from the Game Boy Advance DS era, and put in the Rhythm Heaven conductor for that. Yeah, like no Snake, no Kazuya. Richter could stay, to be fair. I mean, you could always add. I suppose you could add Richter and Dark Samus to this if we're not putting a limit on Echo Fighters.
Which one would you rather pick?
Are they the only two?
Yeah, those
Echo
are the only
Fighters
two
I've
that you
cut. Oh,
cut.
and Crom, but Crom is cut because Roy is cut.
Yeah, Chrome's cut because Rom's Roy.
Right, yeah, Roy, yeah. I mean, between Dark Samus and Richter, I think Richter's probably more likely to happen. But yeah, no, Simon should definitely stay over Richter. Like, Simon's the OG. Richter's only added because Richter is the most popular Belmont. So, yeah.
Richter wasn't until Smash, which is
Are
funny.
you sure? I think Richter was the most popular Belmont even before it. At least he was the most popular among the dev team.
Yeah, he was well liked among the dev team.
Yeah, but like compared to all the Belmonts, I mean, who is more popular? There's Simon, Trevor, Gabriel.
It was Simon.
It was Simon. Okay,
it was Simon.
All right, fair enough.
Richter was not the most popular in Japan. That is a misnomer.
Well, he was liked on the dev team, so he got to get, and a lot of his movesets are taken from it. Alucard would be cool, but again, he's not a Belmont. He's not. I didn't want to add a new Castlevania rep. Like, Sonic was the only series I wanted a new rep in because I feel like Sonic should get a new rep. That could be a bit of personal bias coming in, but I wanted something for him. Why would they cut an Echo but not the original? I mean, like I've said multiple times, when I was putting this roster together, I thought that we had a limit to how many Echo Fighters we could add. Like, I was keeping it the exact same amount of Echo Fighters that Smash Ultimate had. But I guess we're not doing that, actually, because Shadowlink made his roster without considering that. So I don't mind adding some of them back in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that after the stream.
Yeah, we'll talk about that after the stream. But yeah, this is my roster. Trying to keep it a bit sort of contained and not off the walls, while still sort of preferencing my own personal bias a little bit with some of these picks, and how they're included. So yeah, that is me. This is the Nintendex one. It took a bit longer to go through all this than I thought, so I guess I guess yours are coming up now.
Probably not going to be as long.
Yeah, fair. I think some of these returning ones are a bit obvious, so they probably don't need to be re-explained.
All right, guys, get ready for the jump scare.
Oh no! Oh no! It's him. You did it. You included the Chris Pratt Mario.
This was the buy time for me to open the folder. Alright, so we're starting off with Mr. Mario. Mr. Mustache. I wouldn't change much about Mario. I don't like Flood personally, but it represents a game, so I'm not 100% about cutting it, especially not for something from Odyssey, because they're seemingly moving straight on from Odyssey.
Yeah, to be fair, I cut the cape in order to have the Odyssey one. Down special, I just made his spin again. But yeah.
Alright. Next up, we have a character who is a literal who. I don't know who this is. I was told to put them on. Here's Luigi.
Green Mario.
Green Mario. Hello, Mario. I would change a little bit about Luigi. I think his grabs are a little funny. But I'd make him a little less grab focused. I feel like they accidentally made him grab focused. I don't think that was their intention, but I would make his grabs a bit less powerful.
Okay.
Alright, moving on, we have our first newcomer.
Okay, interesting.
Oh god, I dragged...
Oh boy.
How did I do that?
He's so big!
He's so big. We have Toad.
It's Toad! Nice. I did consider putting Captain Toad on my roster, but again, space.
Toad jump scare. All right. Yeah.
Every character cut, just Toad.
Toad's the only one left.
Yep.
I
Toad Bros.
I would probably have Toad repping Super Mario 2, Super Mario USA, whatever you want to call it. Doki Doki Panic.
Boy, can he have an Imogen alt?
I do think Toad is like super big character, and it's been weird that he's only been relegated to special move. And in Ultimate, he's in the throws now, right?
In Ultimate, he's still in Peach's standard special.
Yeah, he's in the neutral special and throws now.
Oh yeah, he shows up in throws. Yeah.
Yes. I think it's weird that he was relegated to such a small role because, I mean, especially now with the movie, he's like seemingly one of the main protagonists of that movie.
Yeah.
I feel like moving forward with the Mario series, we're gonna see a much bigger focus on Toad.
The boy getting his focus all again. What would you do about Toadette? Would she be included in any way?
Toadette can be an alt. That's fine.
Okay. In Olimar Alf situation.
And next character would be Peach. We would change the neutral special to something else and remove Toad from the throws. Just revert them back to the old throws.
Okay.
That's simple enough as is. I think Peach's moveset is pretty good. I wouldn't change much about it other than that. Same
would
with
both Toad and
Daisy.
Peach have the down special? The vegetable turnip plucking one?
I think characters having similar moves is fine.
Okay.
I would say they should act a little differently in how they work. And I would also probably give Toad the crouch jump from Mario 2 in some capacity.
That could be fun. It could just be like a special gimmick, like if you plays exactly like it does before, where you press down, hold it down for long enough, and then they can get a bigger jump.
And next character would be Rosalina and Luma. I would probably try to make Rosalina and Luma more powerful because they got super nerfed in Ultimate, and
did they?
I used to play as them a lot in Smash 4, and I know they were kind of considered a menace in Smash 4, but nerfing them to the point where they're no longer good at all is a bit extreme.
It's just a bit too much.
It's too much. It's too much. Anyway, and speaking of Smash 4, all you Smash 4 fans out there, know that I have your back because the next character is Yoshi.
Yoshi coming up here, not on the end. Oh well. He's still here.
I wouldn't change anything about Yoshi. I like him in his current form. And I think he is a solid character. I also think Bowser is pretty solid. I would probably change his voice, like you said.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think he is pretty fun to use. Maybe change his up special in a way.
Okay.
Because I don't think it goes far enough, but still.
Could add some extra effects to it, or just make it go a bit higher. Kind of like his up special. It kind of reminds me. I get it works with Sakurai's own Godzilla type scenario, because isn't there already a Godzilla kaiju monster that spins when he flies, like the turtle one?
Believe so.
Yeah.
Where the hell is Wario?
Do a Super Smash Kart roster after this. It's not a bad idea, actually. Keep that in mind. Oh boy, you cut the babies.
I cut Bowser Jr. and Piranha Plant.
Yeah, I also cut Piranha Plant. I just didn't mention it. Well, I mean, obviously you all know that. You just watched mine.
To reiterate, with this roster, we are making a roster the size of base Ultimate. And personally, I feel like Bowser Jr. is not as good of an inclusion as Rosalina.
Okay.
I think Rosalina is a more interesting character, and Bowser Jr. also adds a lot of development because you're developing 4 different character alts, 8 different character alts. All those models gotta look good.
True.
Anyway,
fair enough.
I have put 2 characters intersecting the Mario row because we've got another Mario character. Yes, we have Waluigi. At this point, him not being in is practically out of stubbornness.
Yeah, it is. He should really be here. I feel like if Ultimate had more space for newcomers, he would have probably been chosen. He'd have probably made the jump.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. Our next character is Mr. Game and Watch, who is so easy to develop that he will never not be here. He literally shares the parameters of Mario in several Smash games. I don't know if he actually doesn't share them in any Smash game, but I do know he does. Like they just slapped him over Mario.
Fair enough. I didn't know that. Yeah, I suppose I don't see a reason to cut Mr. Game and Watch, although Rob would be my first choice on the weird retro comeback characters.
Funny you say that because he's up next.
Here he is. Yeah,
Rob the Robot. He's probably my favorite of the retro characters to play as.
Yes, he's mine as well.
I wouldn't cut him. I have cut Duck Hunt.
Oh no! How
Duck Hunt has not made the jump.
Rip. Pour one out
Duck
for the dog and bird.
I had to cut 22 characters to make room for 21 characters, and I'll talk about that in a moment because I miscounted it somewhere. But I had to cut a lot of characters to make room for newcomers. We don't have a lot of room for newcomers. They added 12 characters in DLC for Ultimate. So you have to cut 12 characters plus however many newcomers you want to add. And that is a hurdle to overcome because no matter what you're doing, you're cutting somebody's favorite character. And
that's a big problem.
That's really hard to think about. When you just cut like a clone character, I don't feel as bad because the original is still there. But when you cut a character like Duck Hunt, I know that's cutting somebody's favorite. So it's hard.
That was a big issue I had as well.
I don't do that with any pride. I just had to do it. Here's Captain Falcon. I would not change a thing about him for the world. I do like that Blood Falcon suggestion though.
It's just such an easy thing to do, so why not? Hell, make him an Echo Fighter even if you want to go crazy.
We are starting the next row now with Donkey Kong. I would not change a thing about Donkey Kong. Give him his voice, sure. I think that's fine. Fans want his voice.
Yeah, I didn't say it, but I'd also do the same thing, just like with Bowser.
Yeah. Diddy Kong, gonna stay here. And so will King K. Rool. I wouldn't change a thing about them.
Yeah.
Alright, so here's a funny... Here's a conundrum. I gotta stop saying things are funny. That's just a verbal tick that I have. Alright, so... here's Link.
Oh boy.
Now, personally, if I was not being realistic and I wanted to make my own roster with no constraints, I would have done this. I would have done this instead.
You would have gone back.
I would have gone back. But that's not the world we live in. We have Breath of the Wild Link, and he's probably going to stay that way.
At least until Nintendo goes back to having default Green Hat Link.
Yeah.
In a future game.
They might. Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows? It won't be on the Switch, but
the one thing I
could
would
be
change,
another one.
The one thing I would change about Breath of the Wild Link. Fuck the Tunic of the Wild. It is so awful. Get that out of here. Replace it with some actually cool outfits from the game. There's the Rito tunic, the Goron like armor set, the Zora armor set. Like you can have that over it. Give him the goddamn fierce deity armor. Do anything else. Just not the Tunic of the Wild.
Fair enough. He gets amiibo costumes, You just give him one of them so he has the actual old green proper outfit.
Yeah. Now we have Zelda. I would probably change Din's Fire to be more like a trap tool. Kind of like how it is in Project M, but a little less toxic than that. I would set it. I would make it so that Din's Fire you can set as a trap on the area, but that you cannot recall it. It goes away after a certain amount of time, but you cannot just bring it back. I feel like
you have
that's
to
a
wait
good
until
way
it's
to
been
balance
triggered
that.
before you can use it again.
You have to wait until it's been triggered or it runs out of time.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
All right.
Next character, and this was one. This was a character I cut, but then I realized I didn't have room for any newcomers. So here's what happened. My final count was 22 cuts. I had room for 10 newcomers, but I added enough Echo Fighters that I did not have room for another new character. So I mulled over the roster. I thought, who is the most reasonable character that I can put back from my cuts in a space, in a row where I've already put an Echo Fighter? That means I cut an Echo Fighter to put Sheik back.
Right.
I think Sheik, because of Super Smash Brothers and the effect that Smash has had on Zelda itself, has transcended just being an Ocarina of Time character into an iconic part of Zelda itself. That Sheik can really just stay around with no problem. Even in Smash, they made a Twilight Princess original design for Sheik just for Smash Brothers, and they made a Breath of the Wild original Sheik design for Smash Brothers.
Is that meant to be Breath of the Wild design?
Yes, that is the Breath of the Wild Sheikah armor in that game. It just has an original headpiece.
Ah, fair enough.
Yes,
I hadn't noticed that. Yeah, I like how Sheik basically just survived both of our rosters getting added back on.
And finally, we have our last Zelda character, Ganondorf.
Oh. I'm surprised. I honestly expected you to have more Zelda characters.
You would expect that.
Yeah.
from somebody whose username is A Shadow Link, you would expect more Zelda characters.
Yeah.
But it comes. I don't like adding one-off Zelda characters, and I don't think Impa is a big enough name outside of her Hyrule Warriors appearances. Which I am against adding. But as for Ganondorf, I would remove the sword from his moveset because it's not canon and it's icky and it's bad, and I would give him magic attacks in their place.
Mm-hmm. No trident?
No trident. That's a Phantom Ganon thing.
I suppose. Fair enough.
Our next character is based. We have
Hell
Takamaru.
Yeah.
Here is Takamaru.
Base boy is here.
So Takamaru was passed up because of lack of familiarity in Western audiences. But Sakurai's not here anymore. In this scenario, Sakurai is not here. And Nintendo keeps putting Takamaru, Mysterious Murasame Castle, in a bunch of games. They want to bring him back. They really want to bring him back. And this is the vehicle to do it. He's finally in.
Get him in. He deserves his spot here.
Sakurai is semi-retired, chat. He announced that he is semi-retired. We don't know what that means, but it is still it is possible that he is no longer going to have an active role in Smash development. He might still have an advisory role, I think. I don't see the series still continuing without him, but I don't know if he'd have the same amount of control.
Yeah, right. I think he'd be like an advisor, and that's about it.
Yeah, we move on to the next member of the Famicom 4. We have Samus.
Heck yeah. Oh, you gave her the Varia suit, Dread.
I spent 30 minutes recoloring the Dread suit to orange because I feel wrong not having the orange as the default, just like I do feel with Link having the blue as the default. Now with Link, that's unavoidable, but Samus starts Dread with the Varia suit on. People know the Varia suit exists. It's a thing. It's the default.
Yeah, fair enough. there is an orange color in Metroid Dread. Yeah, that is the Varia suit one.
You start with the orange color.
Yeah,
there just isn't a render of it, so I had to recolor the blue one.
Yeah. Which is fair, but because the Dread one was the one they used in all the marketing, that's the way I went for that one.
I get that too. I also kept Dark Samus.
Okay.
I did not cut any Echo fighters, unless I cut their original fighter, which I don't think I did at all.
Interesting.
So Dark Samus is still here. I think Dark Samus is also kind of important because they are, and still are, the only American-made character on the roster. There might be another one later.
And Diddy Kong and K. Rool, I'll have you know.
European.
Oh, American. Right. They're British.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Yes. There may be another American-made character later, but we'll see when we get there.
Okay. You're making me think I should add Dark Samus back onto my roster now. That's and Richter, both of them.
You're free to do that.
Maybe I'll do that. We'll see.
I have cut Zero Suit Samus because the direction that the Metroid franchise is moving forward in, I actually don't think the Zero Suit fits with that. The Zero Suit was absent from Dread. And Zero Suit Samus is also this weird Smash original character that doesn't have any basis in the actual game aside from their neutral special. Is there a Zero Suit mode in Samus Returns? I don't remember.
I don't think there is, no.
Okay.
I can have a quick Google of it, but I'm pretty sure there isn't. But Don't wait on me for that.
Yeah, I just don't see the Zero Suit being a part of it in the future, and they can prove me wrong. They might prove me wrong.
hmm
They probably will prove me wrong. I know
I mean,
Zero Suit Samus is a very popular character, but especially with being removed from Samus's moveset,
hmm
I don't feel like they have a place anymore.
yeah. The Zero Suit does appear in Dread, but it's because they have it underneath. So when when Samus dies in Dread, then she bursts into the Zero Suit, but there's no mode for it. I just realised I should probably mention that.
Oh,
And that looks to be the same case in Samus Returns as well. But except Samus Returns, the best ending is her in the Zero Suit, which isn't the
yeah.
case in Metroid Dread.
It's not the case in Dread. That's what I was talking
No.
about. I didn't remember it being part of the death animation.
Yeah, it's part of the death animation. It has a whole model in
Okay.
Dread as well.
Okay.
And then it shows up in the other M. Oh no, no, that's not the other M ending. Sorry, it shows up in the um seventh ending reward, which is
Okay.
where it shows everything from every game,
Okay.
which might be the best ending. So maybe it is actually the best ending. I actually don't know.
Okay.
Actually, no, it is. I think it is the best ending. So she is still in the best ending, but they're still
Damn,
using
really
it.
be like that.
Yeah, but there's no play. Yeah, I know what you mean though. The Zero Suit in Smash is like a Smash original because Samus never actually fights like that with the Zero Suit on.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
Kid Icarus. We have Pit.
Pit.
I would not change a thing about Pit, especially his brother, Dark Pit. I love Dark Pit.
Dark Pit. Pitu.
Change all of his
I like
lines to
Dark Pit.
Electroshot.
Yeah, Dark Pit, the better Pit.
I have cut Palutena. Palutena
Wow.
kind of feels like a weird inclusion for me. With
Rude.
Kid Icarus moving forward, like not having that much relevance anymore. Palutena's always felt like a weird inclusion. I know she's incredibly popular because she's a sexy lady, but that's the only merit to her inclusion. She doesn't even feel like that important enough of a character to keep in.
I don't know. I see where you're coming from. I do think her moveset in Smash is very lacking, personally. But I don't know. I mean, I obviously didn't cut her. I think she's a big character. But you're right. I suppose Kid Icarus probably does need a bit more games, a bit more of an appearance.
Give Palutena more of a role in the next game, if there is a next game, and we'll talk. Also, chat, check out Palutena's reveal trailer. The reveal trailer disagrees with you. Here is Kirby. I would not change a thing about Kirby. I think Kirby's good. I would also not change a thing about his compatriots, King DDD and Meta Knight.
The perfect trio.
And this is going to be fun because we have two rosters with the opposite inclusions. Here's Bandana
You did go Bandana
Waddle-Dee. Here's Bandana Waddle-Dee. One of the most popular character requests. It feels weird that they haven't been here yet, and they kind of should be.
I get it. I just wanted Magalore instead. But I totally see a world where it's Bandana Waddle-Dee instead.
Now we have Pikachu. And I have also finally bit the bullet and cut Jigglypuff. Jigglypuff was the last character I removed from the roster.
Just like real Smash, always the last before getting re-added again.
They're the last character re-added, but they almost always get removed really early on.
Yeah.
However, unlike you, I have not cut one of the most popular characters in Super Smash Brothers. Pokemon Trainer.
What can I say? I'm an anarchist.
I have cut Pichu, but it feels like whenever this discussion comes up, who are you going to cut from the next Smash game? It's always the same three characters: Young Link, Pichu, Dr. Mario. Always those three.
Always them. Yeah, Pokemon Trainer is huge popular. I mean, I like Pokemon Trainer. Pokemon Trainer is like one of my mains. I just cut them because I wanted a different human character in the roster.
I have kept Lucario. I would change Lucario. I think his current moveset is whack. It does not function like it should. I would probably make him a bit stronger towards the lower percentages and a little less strong towards the higher percentages so that they can stay a bit balanced. But they are just too weak starting out, and the time to kill is so fast in Ultimate Smash and presumably Smash moving forward that they are just kind of useless.
Yeah, that's fair. I really like Lucario and Brawl, but I totally get where you're coming from. I don't really use him very much anymore.
I have also kept Greninja because they are the most popular Pokemon.
Yep. Can't really cut them.
And I have cut Incineroar because they are one of the least popular Smash characters.
Damn. No Master Royale here. No Master Royale. Damn it.
Now, making this roster, we both agreed to one rule, which is we cannot do a placeholder space, and we have to do characters that already exist. So, presumably, this new Smash, I know it's Pokemon. Chat, I know it's Pokemon. Anyway, presumably the next Smash would be like, oh yes, let's add a Pokemon from Gen 10 because that's what would line up. But Gen 10 doesn't exist yet, so
nope.
We're going Meowscarada.
Yeah, fair. I know they're the popular furry bait Pokemon of this gen.
They seem to be the one that they're pushing. They have protein. They have the same.
They have protein.
They have the same kind of setup to them that Greninja had.
Yeah, of all the starters, I agree. They're definitely the one that gets the most focus.
Yes. Moving on. I also do want to say Meowscarada would be like a magician bomber. Like they use bombs as a part of their actual like aesthetic in the actual Pokemon game. They would be an interesting character. It's just because of Ultimate, new Pokemon feels like such a bed of spikes to walk. It feels like, oh, they're a waste of a slot. They're taking a space from a character that I want. And it's just like, all right.
Yeah, there's always going to be a new Pokemon. I personally just don't want them to always stick with the starter Pokemon because there's, I always feel like there's better options out there. Like Incineroar, definitely. Like, I understand why they went for Incineroar, obviously, and I wasn't originally going to cut Incineroar until I decided that I wanted to do Master Royale.
You wanted to be funny,
but yes, but like the reason I went for Tinkaton is because I just didn't want to do another starter again. Like, and unless because Pokemon Trainer already does the starters. Like, if Greninja wasn't the most popular Pokemon out there, I would have cut him as well. But I feel like I couldn't get away with cutting Charizard and Greninja from my roster, so Greninja got to stay. But yeah, I just like having. I just want them to look out beyond the starter Pokemon, even though they're the ones that will get the most focus every gen.
Yeah. Next character is Ness.
Okay.
I
Okay.
probably wouldn't change anything about Ness. They are great the way they are. I have cut Lucas.
Yep, same as me.
And next we have the villager from Animal Crossing.
Oh boy.
I don't know if I would update them to be more like the modern villager, but if that's what the Animal Crossing team would want, then sure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hurdles that come with changing a character that radically, but I'm going to be doing that later anyway. So
yeah. I don't think it'd be that radical a change. It's just like slight hitbox change. Like the moveset would be the same.
Yeah.
It
Moveset would be the
stretched.
same. I just don't know about the tweaks that would need to be made.
Mhm.
Anyway, Isabelle is not getting cut from Super Smash Brothers.
Wow. Not putting Ness after Isabelle either. What is this? That's how the roster should work. Fair enough.
All right.
Isabelle isn't a bell.
So we have everyone's favorite section of the Super Smash Brothers roster now.
Yeah.
The Fire Emblems.
Oh boy.
I would make Marth's Tipper fucking work. Anyway, moving on. Lucina gets to stay as well.
Yeah.
And, unlike Nanten, I have kept one of the most popular Smash characters in the game. Roy gets to stay.
I know he's popular, but I had to make my cuts. Had to make cuts. And I'd rather have a unique character like Palutena or Duck Hunt than Roy.
And so does Chrom.
Yeah,
now,
Roy's there, why not?
We also hit a funny roadblock here because Super Smash Brothers is going to add a new Fire Emblem character. However, the latest Fire Emblem has Marth 2 in it. So, we're not adding a third Marth into the game. We're not adding a fifth Marth into the game. So, instead, I am looking back and picking the most popular female Fire Emblem character who is also a big Smash request. We're adding Lyn.
More swords!
More swords. More swords.
In my Fire Emblem Smash Brothers game? Fair enough.
Now, the current rumor mill for Fire Emblem is that the next one after Engage is a remake of Genealogy of the Holy War, which has 2 Marths as their protagonists. So we're not doing that either.
Yeah. See, that's fair. I mean, unless you could get Sigurd's horse to work somehow.
I think we want to actually avoid realistic animals being attacked.
Hey, look, JoJo could turn their horse riders into fighters. We could do the same here.
Yeah, well, JoJo has people bursting open at the seams, so they're a bit different with that. JoJo has a guy who climbs into a horse and jumps out of it as a sneaky surprise, and that guy is also Jack the Ripper. JoJo works on its own rules.
True, very true. I suppose, if you're going in that order, then Lyn is the next logical one. Lyn or Hector, I guess. Hector would have an axe, so that's at least different, I suppose.
No.
Anyway,
Hector wouldn't be different, because there's a character in Super Smash Brothers who uses their giant sword like a fucking axe.
Alright, fair enough. Yeah, Ike Can't cut Ike, most popular Fire Emblem character.
I've also changed him to Radiant Dawn because that seems to be the direction that they're moving forward in. I prefer the Path of Radiance design, but I can't argue with what they're doing.
Yeah, I used to prefer the Path of Radiance design, but I think the Radiant Dawn one has grown on me. I think it makes Ike stand out from all the other twinks, Fire Emblem twinks that are usually there.
I think it makes Ike stand out in Smash Brothers, and in Radiant Dawn itself, I think he looks really weird in Engage. He's too lean.
He's a little too thin. Yeah, he is a little too lean in Engage. Yeah.
All right. I have done what many Smash fans have wanted, and I've cut Corrin, but I have not cut the character that people seem to hate more than Corrin for some reason. Here's Byleth.
You have cut Robin though.
I've cut Robin. I did cut Robin because Robin in Smash is a. If you have ever looked up the kind of shit that is associated with Robin in terms of glitches, that character barely functions. It feels like
time fixing that.
it feels like they're just kind of there because they were picked in Smash 4. They in Ultimate they don't function. And I feel like going forward, the weakest links in terms of Smash for Fire Emblem are Robin and Corrin. Because Robin was picked because they're not Chrom. But we have a system now to have Chrom in. And it feels like they don't need to be there. I would also put Robin in Chrom's Final Smash now that we're at that point where I can talk about that.
I don't know. I understand where you're coming from, but I feel like Robin being like the Avatar character, which is like the Avatar character, which is obviously the direction that the series is now going in, and him also using magic makes him stand out from all the other sword users.
He stands out, but I as a person who mained Robin in Smash 4, I think that the direction that Smash is moving in makes them a character that is not enjoyable to play. Because I really liked them in the slower paced Smash 4. I think they fit very well in that game. If Smash keeps getting faster, they do not belong.
Yeah. I think I'd try and rework Robin to fit more in the speed of things, and if that was the case, then kind of. But fair enough.
Byleth is here because they're from the best-selling Fire Emblem game of all time.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah, I think your pick's good. I think if I was to do a new Fire Emblem character, I obviously didn't. Veronica from Heroes would probably be my go-to choice, having thought about it more. Just because she seems to be the most popular OC from that game, and Heroes is still going. Plus, she's a mage, so that's something new. Although I guess Robin's also a mage, kind of. But yeah.
All right. So, next character is Fox.
Uh-huh.
I would not change Fox. I think Fox is good. And unlike Nintendox, I have not decided to cut one of the most popular Smash characters. So here's Falco.
Get him out of here. Have you cut Wolf then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wolf is gone. Here's Olimar.
Man, cut. Olimar.
Now we move on. Olimar's a can of worms. They're perfectly designed for what they're supposed to be, but they don't. Unless you are really, really good with them, they don't work for the average player. So
yeah, they're pretty hard to use. for most people. But they're so unique, and Pikmin is a fairly big sized franchise now. So like, they should probably stick around. Yeah,
it's such a weird character to try to think about redesigning. Like the changes they've already made to Olimar are good enough. They got rid of the stupid tether. That was the big thing. Other than that, I don't know where to even begin with Olimar.
Would you have the other captains as alts, like
sure,
like
alphas, as long as they have a similar build to Olimar, I would be for that. Louis is fine. I think Louis is fine. He just has a bigger head.
Yeah. Yeah, the President and Charlie are really the only two, maybe, but people seem to have gotten them to work in Ultimate already, so...
Yeah, but that's the kind of sketchy thing that I don't think Smash would do, personally.
Fair enough.
Actual Smash.
You could always go the hero route and just have 4 ults. Or there might be enough playable characters in Pikmin 4 to fill it up, who knows?
Alright. Splatoon... Inkling. Splatoon is one of the big Nintendo franchises now. It's not going anywhere. And we're getting a newcomer Echo Fighter in the Octoling.
Yep. Yeah, agreed on that as well.
They have the same body type as the Inkling, so even though they're an Echo Fighter, they can be different. That is how Echo Fighters work. Echo Fighters have the same skeleton as their base fighter. They can have different moves, different properties, but they can reuse animations, and that's the important part. With a character who has a different body type, they have to be a semi-clone because they have to adjust all those animations.
Rigging takes bloody forever. So
oh god, I don't. If you guys have never tried to like rig a 3D model, and y'all are like, yeah, Isabelle can just be an Echo Fighter. Give yourself an afternoon, open up Blender, download a model from the internet or something, and try to rig that. Then come back to me. Let's talk about that after that.
Pain in the ass.
Anyway,
all right.
I've cut Wii Fit for the same reason. Ring Fit training is here. Ring Fit is huge success. Unbelievable. It is crazy. And that is like Nintendo's big new franchise. So having them is, it feels like a necessity. There is Drago, but I feel like in no universe would they ever pick Drago. That they are more interesting as a character choice, but they will never happen. Anyway,
unfortunately,
we're now done with first parties. Let's move on to the third party section. Starting with, as fans of Smash 4 know, our first third party character, Shulk from Xenoblade.
What the fuck? You got me. Baited me.
Smash 3DS CSS is so funny. It is so funny. I love it. All right.
Oh god. Anyway,
I wouldn't change anything about Shulk. I think Shulk is fine. They're weird with it. They have like a sort of Smash original moveset, but it feels like with the kind of combat that Xenoblade has, there's no like getting around that. Oh, and somebody's noticed it. I have cut Little Mac.
Yeah, I was thinking about this earlier when Captain Falcon showed up after Rob. I was just sort of waiting to see if he'd show up again, but Little Mac's gone.
Little Mac is gone. I take no pride in removing Little Mac, but he is one of the most. He is ironically, one of the least popular Smash characters because he does not work.
Yeah. You also cut Ice Climbers.
I did cut Ice Climbers, but they are one of the least popular Smash characters, even though everyone wanted them back.
Poor Ices.
Poor Ice Climbers. Doomed to that fate. Unlike Nintendex, I have not cut one of the most popular Smash characters. Pyra and Mythra are still here. I personally actually hate Pyra and Mythra in Smash Brothers, but they are so popular that they are not going anywhere.
Yeah, they're two characters, so they take up two spaces.
They play exactly the same.
Yeah, but they're still technically two characters. It's just that one is a semi-clone of the other.
They are technically two characters.
Yes. It's another reason I didn't include them. Well, they were the closest to being added back on to the roster for me, so...
Alright. We're starting the third parties for real this time. With Snake. I believe Snake was the most popular request for coming back in Smash Ultimate. There's a reason they did Everyone Is Here with him. Cutting Snake at this point feels like wrong. It just feels completely wrong.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I get it. I just, I don't know. Snake has always felt weird in Smash to me.
Yeah, they have very little Nintendo association, but so do a lot of characters that are in Smash now.
Yeah. I guess, but that's probably why I cut a whole bunch of them. So.
True. The next character is going to be Sonic the Hedgehog. I would change Sonic to be a little less. Anyway,
okay, Shadow. Yeah,
we're adding a Shadow Echo Fighter. There's no reason not to.
Shadow. Yep. Make his neutral special Fox's Blaster. Sorry, go on.
Man, when I did the top 50 video, I expected the Shadow section to go over badly, but I can't help it. The Shadow the Hedgehog memes are so funny. There's a reason he's using that render in this slot.
Yeah.
It's so funny. He is a joke, Shadow. And I'm so sorry to Shadow fans. Shadow the Hedgehog is a fucking joke. Anyway, I was saying earlier that elongating a character would probably make it so that you'd have to rework a lot of their animations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're doing that because I don't like Mega Man 2 Mega Man. We're going with actual Mega Man here, not the sprite, not the animation based on the sprite.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that this is the direction that would go with if Capcom had more say, because this is Mega Man moving forward. Mega Man was included in Smash during a period where Mega Man was dormant.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that gave them a lot of creative liberty to do what they wanted with Mega Man. But now he's back to how he used to be. Mega Man 11 solidified that he's the lanky guy. And elongating him lets us bring in a special someone as an Echo Fighter.
Okay.
We have Proto Man.
I don't see why Proto Man couldn't be an Echo Fighter of current Mega Man.
It's weird
they're both.
because in
Proto Man was
actual-
also that size back in the NES.
in actual Smash Brothers, Proto Man's still lanky. Only Mega Man is the little Scrimblow. They didn't make the other ones Scrimblowfied.
I guess
It's so weird. I don't know if this would be necessary to have Proto Man, but I wanted Proto Man here anyway.
This is your out of their Echo Fighter pick. I see.
Oh no, there's a worse one coming up.
Nice.
Anyway,
yeah, fair enough.
we're moving
Yeah,
on.
no, Proto Man would be neat.
Pac-Man. Pac-Man's
Pac-Man.
cool. I think Pac-Man doesn't need any changes.
Yeah, no, he is. He is a cool little dude.
I really like playing him. I didn't think I would, but he's fun.
No Pac-Mom Echo Fighter?
Now, the eagle-eyed viewer will notice that I have included these characters in their inclusion order in Smash, which means this is where Ryu from Streets comes in.
Yeah, you haven't done it like I did it by doing it by a company. Yeah, you gotta have Ryu.
And we also have Ken.
Yeah.
Let's change Ken's voice actor. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway.
The next character added into Super Smash Bros. Is Cloud Strife.
Okay, you kept Cloud around.
I kept Cloud, but I cut Sephiroth. Because Sephiroth is extraneous. I know they are one of the biggest villains in video games, period. But they can come back as DLC. Who cares?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, Cloud will stay over Hero, but I prefer Hero, so I kept him.
Over Hero?
Well, if they had to pick one.
I don't have to pick one.
Yeah, to be fair, you don't have to pick one. No, I didn't have to pick one, but I did. I was also slightly influenced from the fact that what was it? I can't remember. They found out that they've been trying to get Hero in Smash for a while, and just didn't think that they were able to get the rights for Hero, which is why it never happened until this DLC. Which says to me that they had considered adding Hero before they had even considered adding Cloud into Smash. So that's just another reason for why I think Hero is better. But sorry, go on.
We're adding Bayonetta from Bayonetta 3.
Okay.
They're updating her design. Don't ask how the alts will be split. I don't want to think about that. Just they would change the default to Bayonetta 3.
Just that Bayo one. You could always just give him 9 alts instead of 8s if you really wanted to.
Yeah, there's no reason they all have to have 8.
Yeah,
Little
exactly.
Mac didn't have 8.
Yeah.
They also do change her voice actor to the based new voice actor who is not a terrible person. Thank you, Jennifer Hill. Now here is an Echo Fighter that I did not want to add, but I think they would add because they want Bayonetta to be a big franchise, bigger than it actually is. Anyway, here is Jean with her horrible Bayonetta 3 design.
It is pretty bad, that design. Yeah, I like how we've taken opposite approaches to Bayonetta.
Yeah.
with our rosters.
Yeah.
Completely opposite. Alright.
Anyway, Simon Belmont.
Simon also gets to stick around.
He's a cool dude. And I also kept Richter because Smash fans are crazy people and somehow pushed Richter into being the most popular Belmont. Now, fans of Source
because he
Gaming
could.
will remember the announcement stream for Castlevania, where I said, "Oh my God, it's Richter. Richter's my favorite Belmont." Uh, I am very glad people are seeing it the same way.
Because Richter can play the electric guitar, and it hadn't even been invented when he was alive. So
Damn,
that's a skill that
Giga
needs to
Chad.
be worth shouting out.
Anyway,
Anyway. Oh shit, the Joker. He's here. Oh no, sorry, the Jonker.
yeah.
Sorry, I misread that.
Now, if I was being completely unrealistic, I'm gonna go get the image. Um, this would be Super Smash Brothers. This would be Super Smash Brothers, but this is not Super Smash Brothers.
No,
Very sad.
very sad. See, I'm kind of. I mean, I guess you're just sort of trying to cut third parties. I feel like of all the third party characters currently in Smash, Joker is like the least important first to go sort of thing. I know Persona's big and all that, but I feel like Joker's like the most boring of all the
He
third party
he
characters.
is. I think he does have the most boring moveset, aside from Banjo. But I don't know, man. He's too popular and he's too like well liked. I really wanted to not cut any of the DLC editions, and I had to cut one of them. Aside from Min Min,
Yeah.
which I also did cut, but people
Yeah, of course
actually
not in the first party one.
people don't really care about Min Min. It seems people
I like
forget
Min Min.
that Min Min's there.
Yeah, I
Arms
know a
is
lot of people don't
also-
like Min Min, but that's because they're people who like to play Smash not casually
Yeah,
and find Min Min annoying to play against. Whereas I like casual Smash, so Min Min is very fun to me. So I
yeah.
like Min Min. Plus, they might make Arms too. Maybe, who knows?
I don't
So
think so.
we'll we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. The future of that franchise is uncertain.
It is. But we'll find out. That team has not done anything in a while, which I'm assuming is because they've been working on Mario Kart that's not out. But Arms 2 after that, maybe. I guess we'll see. Anyway,
I have also changed hero to Erdrick
yeah,
because DQ11 is not the main game, and there is a 3 remake coming up.
that's true. That's very true. Should have always been Erdrick. It was meant to be Erdrick, and they only changed it to 11 because that they wanted to promote that game.
Yeah, it's Erdrick in both Sephiroth and Sora's trailer.
Yeah, like it's even like a confirmed thing that Erdrick was the one that he'd initially put forward, and with 11 as an alt, and then they wanted 11 to be front and center because of Dragon Quest 11 coming out.
I think keep the alts the same, probably.
Yeah.
You could have female Erdrick. They could elongate them and make them the same proportions like they did with Wii Fit Trainer. That is a possibility. That's not off the table. If they wanted it, and I'm gonna say, sure, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, same for female 4 as well.
Yeah. I also have kept Banjo and Kazooie because they are a very popular request. Also, I have also kept Terry Bogard because despite their sort of like pseudo obscurity, because King of Fighters and Fatal Fury died for a lot of the 2010s. They got a huge resurgence. And they are one of the most popular Smash characters. People love Terry.
Yeah.
He's got that same energy that Captain Falcon does with the broken English. I think he is incredibly charming, and I originally the last 2 characters I came down to that I had to cut. I had a choice. And people don't seem to have latched on to Kazuya as much. So as much as I would really like to keep Kazuya Mishima in the game, because he's Kazuya Mishima and he's a very cool fighter, Kazuya is the DLC fighter that had to be cut from new franchises. They would
Kazuya definitely
come
feels
right
like the
back,
weakest
though.
Link there.
If we were given
probably
DLC,
would be DLC.
Yeah, if we were given DLC, we would definitely bring Kazuya back.
Mm-hmm.
Tekken as a franchise is bigger than a lot of these franchises here, especially Bayonetta. Bayonetta's fucking Bayonetta being here still makes me so fucking angry.
Could have cut him.
I could have cut Bayonetta, but Nintendo won't cut Bayonetta.
See, I still don't believe in this, but I guess we'll see. I guess we'll find out if Bayonetta 4 gets announced.
Yeah.
If you really wanted to push, you should have added Viola instead of Bayonetta, because that's the one Nintendo actually owns.
That's too much work. Anyway, Steve is still here.
Mm-hmm.
Steve is one of the most popular Smash characters, and also one of the most hated Smash characters. Funny.
Mm-hmm. But he's here.
He's here because it's Minecraft, and why would he not be here? The word around the block is that he was supposed to be in for a long time, and he just required so much work to get in. And that is confirmed, that he required so much work to get in. But assuming that they can just port forward that work, a lot of that is done already. So he can just come on back.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, I think, with the stages, so they'd probably have to do it for new stages, but all the data's kind of there, so it's not a difficult thing, it's just a time-consuming thing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Depending on the amount of new stages, who knows?
Yeah.
And the last character returning is Sora.
Keeping Sora.
We're keeping Sora. Sora was the most popular third-party request from the ballot, and it feels weird to cut that character right after they got in.
I mean, that is true. I cut Sora with the knowledge that they would probably bring him back as a DLC fighter, like, almost immediately. It's just I just don't trust Square Enix to have all of these characters come back in the base game like this.
Alright, so wow, chat can read right through me. If this was an ideal world, I have 2 newcomer slots. I have 2 for third party. If this was an ideal world, what I would do is exactly as chat said. We're putting in Dante, and we're putting in Mr. Can't Hit Women Kazuma Kiryu. But I am realistic. Dante has a competitor. Okay. And this competitor feels much more like a base game roster pick. This is a character that I don't think would generate much hype for being in as a DLC character, specifically because of the audience that buys DLC. Now, we're adding Monster Hunter. We're finally putting
never mind.
Monster
I don't
Hunter
know who
in.
you're adding in. Fair enough.
And
interesting.
We can't have Kiryu because the Switch is too mainstream for an underground series like Yakuza. That's the funniest thing they've ever said. I saw somebody say it at the beginning of the stream. Somebody in chat said it. It was really funny. I had to bite my tongue. I was going to laugh. Fighter number 69 is Sans Undertale.
Lamau.
This is a character whose Mii costume broke the internet. If they were actually in, who knows what kind of nonsense would happen? Undertale is huge. It is so massive. It's crazy how big that franchise is. And they could get Sans no problem.
Yeah, they could. I do wonder if they'd go for Deltarune instead, because Sans is obviously in Deltarune, but he hasn't done anything yet in that game. Just because I feel like that would be easier it'd be easier to make, Chris, probably.
Yeah, but
Sans is definitely more popular.
They're not Sans.
Yeah, true. True. You can still have Sans as an assist trophy and Mii costume, though. My problem with Sans is always that I sort of struggle to think how they would act in a way that feels believable that it's Sans.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right, it is Sans.
Yeah, this is Smash Brothers. They'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Anyway, the last three characters are the Mii fighters.
The Miis.
So let's just drag them in.
Drag them in there. So you filled up this whole grid then?
Yeah, I planned.
Yeah. I'm now thinking like I should increase mine with Echo Fighters to match yours, so they can be the same size.
You have one extra column. You have one extra column.
Yeah, I know. It's because we made mine slightly bigger.
Yeah,
we can fix that though.
we can reorganize it after the stream.
Yeah.
This is Photoshop. All of these slots are pre-made.
Yeah. Although, how many more Echo Fighters did you add compared to me? Like, how many Echo Fighters do you have?
I didn't cut a single Echo Fighter. So I have added Octoling, Proto-Man, Shadow, and Jean.
Sean, so you've added 4 more.
4.
To the 7 that's already in the game, right? So you've got 11 in total?
Yeah.
Right. So I added 7. We can go back to mine before we close off the stream, because I'll add them on stream.
Oh, okay, we could do it on stream. I can figure it out.
We can just do it quickly on stream.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Fortnite's DLC.
Fortnite's DLC. Yeah, Fortnite's definitely more of a DLC choice. Definitely. No, Octoling definitely wouldn't be a semi-clone. They could be, they won't be.
Yeah. They have the moniker for Echo Fighter now for a reason. We don't hate 2B. I didn't have room for 2B. I think 2B would be a cool new fighter. If they got in, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So yeah. 2B definitely also feels like DLC to me. It's like the same sort of thing that Joker, I feel like. But yeah. I guess if you move my bottom row along so that Mii Gunner is below Ken for now.
Okay.
Because we can always just remove that column on the end, right? And then shift Terry, Ken, Ryu, Mega Man. And then I think there should be space there to add Richter in and put Simon down there, right?
Oh yeah, if you want to put both of them down there.
Yeah, I think if I'm going to be adding Echo Fighters back in, then I should add Richter and Dark Samus back in. So I'm not adding Chrome in because Roy's not here, and I'm not adding Roy back in. So
chat, John Deere Tractor is very funny. Please stop spamming it.
Yeah. You can keep Mii Gunner where we are. We can always remove the column on the right so that it's the same length as yours.
You sure about that one?
That's what I was thinking.
Sure about that one?
Yeah, is it? Would it not be the same length as yours?
Donkey Kong.
What do you mean? What?
There are 4 Donkey Kong characters. That's the reason we expanded this.
Yeah, but we can always just move the individual ones, I suppose, around. I don't know. I'm just thinking about this from a just to match up at a point of view. Well, I guess we can always do it off stream.
Yeah, we
How many Echo
probably
Fighters
should.
All right, let's do it off stream. How many
Yeah.
Echo Fighters though? Do I have left?
You have
Um,
added Masked Royal, Octoling, Shadow.
That's right, Otling Shadow. So I've got one. Was it 4 or 5 new ones that you added?
I
4,
added.
right?
Oh, you have input. You added 4. And so if you add back Dark Samus, you would have
I've
one
got
more
one
slot
more.
left because you
Okay.
got Crom.
Right. Okay. Yes. Okay. So yes, we'll add Dark Samus back in, and then who would make a good Echo Fighter? I feel like I'd want to put. I'm almost tempted to put an Echo Fighter in for Shulk.
Oh boy.
But I'm not sure.
Appease the Noah fans.
Yeah, that appease the Noah fans exactly. Because if Noah's already going to be there for Mio's thing, would that work? Do you think that would work? Adding Noah as a
Yes.
All right, let's do it. Let's appease everyone in the chat who was mad at me for not including Noah. He's getting the Crom treatment this time around, where Crom was added basically because they already had the model existing. We're gonna bloomin' add Noah in as a an Echo Fighter for Shulk. Nah, Nintendo Echo Fighter doesn't really work because I mean Ness doesn't even play like how Ness actually does in Earthbound, right? So
I will make a
Nintendo
new.
doesn't.
I'll make a new icon for Noah off stream.
Okay.
This is just here.
Yeah. Now Techno's mad that I am adding Noah in.
Damn, can never win.
Can't please everyone.
Can never win.
The only other option would be to add another Fire Emblem one, but I don't know who would make an Echo out of the 3 we've got here.
Nah.
Like,
I mean, there is the Black Knight, but
they have options. Like, I know I'm still not convinced the Black Knight would work as an Echo Fighter for Ike, just because he's like much heavier than Ike is. Like, he's an armored unit. So, I mean, Robin is just a mage, I guess, with a sword. So I suppose you could add Celica, which I think is the go-to one. For Robin from most people. I suppose it might work, but
Celica is an option, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, all right, there we go. I've thrown Noah into appease chat, and I've added in Richter and Dark Samus back in to the roster. So there we go.
There we go. We did it.
Yep. Replace Crom for Alm and give him Link's neutral B. I mean, yeah, but then Alm would also need to be an echo of Roy, and Roy's not in the game, so that wouldn't work. I suppose make an Echo Fighter of Link be Twilight Princess Link. And he has the Gale Boomerang.
You see, both of those don't work because they are both left-handed, and that changes every animation.
You could just flip the animation. You could flip the rig. You can just flip the rig around.
I'm not sure how viable that is, because
I don't think it would be that difficult to do, because Link, all the other moves that Link has aren't really affected by whether they're using left or right hand, right? So,
yeah, but he does have a lot of sword moves still.
Yeah, but if they're already going to be on his other hand, if you flip the rig around, then it works. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it would be too... I know where you're coming from, but I don't think it would be too difficult because you don't have to make a brand new rig. They're the same height. And if Link's left-hand or right-hand, then all of his moves are going to be going the other way anyway. But that's all right. That does work for Echo Fighters. It's mainly, like you said, it's the hitbox and the rig are the two most important things.
The hitboxes are the hurdle to overcome here, but
Yeah, but I don't think that at all. Without looking through all of Link's entire moveset bit by bit, I don't think would be a massively different one. It's not like Link changed a whole like well he did change between now and Smash 4 obviously, but he didn't change like every single move, right? So
Every single move, I think, got changed actually.
you think
Every single sword move. Like they are technically very similar animations, but I believe everything had to be readjusted because it is a 3D fighter in essence. So I'm just not sure.
I'd have to look back. I'd have to compare them.
I would have to look into the game like data personally, because I know there's hitbox viewers for the side view, but I don't know if like 3 dimensions changes that at all, because I know there's some wonky stuff in Smash with 3 dimensions.
Yeah, this is true. This is very true. All right. Well, anyway, thank you for watching, chat.
Yeah. Hope you
Let
all
us
had a good
know
time.
if in comments if you're watching this afterwards which roster you preferred or what changes we made, and just be I don't know. You can be mad at us for cutting characters. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
It's always going to happen. It's hard being in Sakurai's shoes. But
it's just hard in general trying to make a roster that like appeases people while still being I want to say realistic character choices.
Yeah. It is hard. Yeah, you know, 7 out of 10 sounds about right for me. But I think it's an 11 out of 10 personally. My personal pick.
Yeah, with the constraints we put on, we were heavily limited. I only had room for 9 newcomers. How many did you have?
I think I had more than that. I think I had 10 or 11, I think, when I counted. But I cut more you basically didn't cut a single third party other than Kazuya.
I cut
and Sephiroth, whereas I cut like a whole bunch of them because I was like, they can just come back as DLC. But I think you cut more first party characters than I did.
Yeah, I cut a lot of characters.
Yeah. So yeah.
All right. Thank you all for watching. Let's pop up the patrons.
Yep.
If you want to support us on Patreon, that helps. Thank you to all of our patrons on screen right now. If you want your name at the end of the video, link in the description below. And as always, always remember to return to the source.
All right. Bye, guys.